5, 4, 3.
Right. Welcome to the July 24th Select Board meeting. I would like to call the meeting to order, noting that we've got the full quorum and it is 7:04 p.m. We'll begin the meeting as usual with announcements, and it is with our deepest condolences to the Morse family. Donnie Morse passed away last week. He is going to be sorely missed. He was a fixture in our town. The Morse family has contributed so much over generations to the town of Boxborough. And I'd like to have just a brief moment of silence out of respect for the family. Thank you. The wake was this evening. I believe the services are tomorrow. Becky, what time are the services?
11 at South Cemetery.
11 a.m. at the South Cemetery. If anybody else would like to join with saying goodbye. Okay, moving on to other announcements. The Office of Land Use and Permitting is hosting a Complete Streets Public Forum on Wednesday, July 26th, here at the Town Hall in this very room, the Grange Hall. Participants of all ages are welcome and encouraged to join us on the evening of July 26th for a guided exercise and discussion. Snacks and refreshments will be provided, and participants will be given a presentation of the Complete Streets program. The Town of Boxborough DPW will continue with road improvements in the neighborhoods. The improvements will consist of milling the existing roadway base and installation of new pavement. Driveways will also be repaired if they don't match the road correctly, and all unpaved driveways will have a small transition to the road constructed. Road milling has begun and will continue throughout the town until October 31st. Is there any, do we have a list of the streets that are being milled? I'm just curious.
We do, and I believe it's on the website.
Excellent. So if you are curious what streets are being done and when, check out the town's website. Would it be on the DPW page?
It's on there.
Okay, perfect. If you have a concern about an item that is not listed on the agenda, please raise it during citizens' input. In order to allow input from all citizens, each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. While the board will be unable to discuss or deliberate on topics that we haven't posted, necessary actions will be either forwarded to the appropriate operational department for action or posted on a future agenda for discussion by the board. Now, that's because of the open meeting law. If you bring up something that other people might want to have input on, we can't discuss it right now, but we could certainly put it on a future meeting. We know it's important that you guys feel heard. Bring it on. We will address it. If you have a question or comment about an item that is on the agenda, you will be recognized after the board members have an opportunity to get their questions answered. A lot of times our questions are your questions. Due to time constraints, the board may not be able to accommodate comments from everybody on all topics. Please wait to be recognized by the chair before addressing the board. This is a forum of public input, questions, and criticism. However, we ask that all participants be respectful and civil. All right, moving on. I'd like to, if it pleases the board, we have a lot to get done before our 7:30 appointment. So I'm suggesting that we kind of take a few things out of order. I see that Jeanette's here. Perhaps we could are you here to get Pfeiffersdale taken care of? Mm-hmm. All right. So perhaps we could take that out of order first. Is it okay with everybody?
Yep.
All right. That was actually Wes's idea. He gets the credit for being so polite. We won't make you wait till the end because I think you're on at the end of the meeting. Oh, and Tony, where's there you are. Sorry. Yeah, I know. We walked in. I admired your bike. Do you guys want to kind of fill the town in on what you're doing? You come up to the mic and let everyone know what's happening with Pfeiffer's Day. And Tony, you're here for other things too.
Yeah, I know.
You don't get to go home.
We'll just work each everybody's up.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so as everyone knows, we had to cancel Pfeiffer's Day on June the 2nd, on June 17th because of the weather. It was a right decision to make, I think. We are running it again on September the 2nd. I think it'll be a scaled down version of the day that we have planned, but we'll try and do most things. So we want to have the parade, and we can talk about that. We want to do the road race, and we'll do the usual things: music, food, drink, bouncy castles, that sort of thing. So, you know, we're here tonight for a couple of reasons. One is we want to apply for the permits all over again and make sure we get those in order.
Yeah.
And also to talk about the, I guess, the parade with PCCC and make sure we're covered for the parade and and police and fire coverage. We already spoke with the police and fire last week. We understand it is going to be a challenge to actually cover that weekend because of it being a holiday weekend and things like that. But Sergeant Patriarca, who we spoke to, said he would endeavour to get some coverage if we were to go ahead and do parade and road race. So hopefully we will have that coverage in place.
Chief, are you out? Chief happens to be here. Any comments on coverage that weekend?
Termination's been made. We will post it right away.
Uh-huh.
It will be a challenge being a holiday weekend, but
Mhm.
we'll make it happen and have coverage.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right.
Okay.
So I just wanted to comment on the parade.
Sure.
So the PCC has been working this past week on seeing what we can do for the parade. So, you know, a lot of the parade participants are kids in the school district and things like that. And because it's the beginning of school, none of the participants can promise that they can be in the parade. So right now we don't have a band. And I know a band is a big part of having the parade, right? You don't have a parade without a band. So right now we do not have a commitment for a band, just because most of the sixth graders that were in the Blanchard band have graduated and are now, and the band hasn't met yet. So that's one thing. The other thing we usually ask is participants from Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, all of that, the participating activities around town, and they won't have had their first meetings either. So we don't have a commitment for those as well. So right now it's looking like we don't have participants to hold a parade right now.
Okay.
I would love to say we can do it. I can't say that right now. So we're still looking into it. We would still like to, with Tony's permission, do the awards, right? The Golden Fife Award. We'd like to do the Parade Marshal Award, the Lucy and Luther Award. They were sixth graders that were nominated by their school. They've now graduated and they're seventh graders. If I can get them back, I would love to. I can try. I don't know yet.
Okay.
So that's just the comments from the PCCC.
All right.
All right.
Well, maybe this year is more just like a town picnic, a chance for all of us to get together, just a little less pomp and circumstance.
Yeah, so just to add to that, so it sounds like we won't do a parade then, it sounds like. There's that decision's been made by PCCC based on the facts, as you said. I mean, understandable, but I'm just going to...
Yeah, I mean, I would still like to pull the permit for the road closure just in case. I mean, I might tomorrow get, word back from the band that, oh, we can pull a couple people together. We can do the band. If the Minutemen want to march in the parade, then I have some, right? Then I have a band and I have some Minuteman marching as well. And then maybe I can get a few more participants. But at this point, I can't say for certain that we can hold it.
Yeah, understandable. So I think the challenge for us is really police coverage at this stage, because in the past the police have given coverage. I understand they have like a 4-hour overtime sort of allocation that they use for both the parade and the road race, and the expense is covered by the town because it's a town event. So we want to make sure that the town will cover that expense for the road race if we run the road race in the absence of a parade, because we obviously need police coverage for the road race to close the roads off around Burroughs Road and Stowe Road and those places.
Do you have a sense of how many police officers are usually necessary?
Yeah, 4. I think, well,
it's not fair. Chief just got here.
Yeah. So I think
How many are usually, Brett? How many? 4.
4. Yeah, we understand. Yeah.
Okay. You might have already known that. I didn't want to put you on the spot.
We can post them. As soon as the termination's made, we'll post it immediately. I can guarantee you 2 right now, myself being 1, and there's a officer training that day. I know a newer officer. I'm fairly certain we'll have 1 or 2 sign up. Additionally, it is hard being a holiday weekend though, so I just want to put that out there, which we.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I guess my question for the board to think about too, do we make sure that we have police and fire coverage for the crowds first before we decide if we can pull the kids together? Like it's chicken and the egg. Chief, what are your thoughts?
Well,
Because I don't want to tell these children you're going to be in a parade and then say, oh, no, you're not. Sorry.
no, we will make it work.
Okay.
You have to. We can't post it unless an event, we know an event's going to occur. We will ensure it gets done.
Okay.
And
It sounds like they may not be doing a parade, which would make it easier.
Right.
Yeah.
It was just the picnic and the even the road race.
comment
Yeah,
to
jump in.
Tony's question? So part of his question was if there was no parade, but if there was still a 5K run, would the town still fund it? I would suggest yes, because if we're already planning on paying for both, but one part of it, if the parade doesn't happen, we've already planned on paying for the details for the whole thing. So I
Right.
would say no reason why we wouldn't pay for the details to still do the 5K run. One other thing is, in my experience, I've noticed when you bring the children, you know, whether it's from scouts, from the school, from the band, whatever, that's where your attendees come from, the parents. The parents follow the kids.
Yeah.
And
Unfortunately, yeah.
and I can understand you're at the beginning of September, you don't have a band put together yet, you don't have the scout programs put together yet. So I would assume that you're going to lose half of your people who would be standing on the side of the roads as well. And I don't mean to paint a gloomy picture, but I think Jeanette is trying to be realistic. And
Yeah.
I would come from that same realistic camp that it's probably looking a little bit dim as far as the parade, but I would say pull your permit, plan on it, make the plans march forward, but understand that that's a pretty heavy lift. But I would say, yes, plan on paying for the details to at least cover your 5K. And then if a parade comes together, do that too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does school start before or after Labor Day?
Before.
Okay, so lots of kids will be around.
Kids will be
anyway.
back in town, but they just won't be organised for band and stuff. And we recognise we're not going to have as big a 5 day as we do in June. It's going to be, we're actually planning on a 50% attendance. Actually, it's our budget. That's our budget. But we think this is actually a nice thing. It's going back to the roots in a way, a town picnic. Very simple. So let's think about this as a sort of retro Fifers Day, going back to where we started when it started, like
I could tell you stories.
50 years ago or whatever. So I think this is a positive thing, actually. I think we should make the positive out of this,
Yeah.
this situation.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Go back to our roots.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right, everything is out of order. Thank you all for coming in. Chief, any other input on all of this? No? Okay, it's probably down here somewhere, right? Pfeiffer's Day, okay. All right, so we're gonna take a few other things out of order, and that is the field use. Well, I guess we can talk about the policy later.
you want to approve the things or?
Yeah, we can start here. Yep. Okay. I move to approve the Pfeiffer's Day Parade and filing of the state parade permit application for Pfeiffer's Day on September 2nd, 2023, with a rain date of September 3rd, 2023, as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? Any discussion from the floor? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, unanimously approved. We're having a parade and a picnic and a road race. All right. Next thing, again, we're out of order here, so. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's what we're gonna do next. Yep. All right, so next, ordinarily, there is a field use fee for fields, but where this is a town event, we typically waive it. Anyone have any comments or input about that before we make a motion? All right, I move to waive the field use fee for Pfeiffer's Day, September 2nd, 2023, with a rain date of September 3rd, 2023, as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, that one is all taken care of. All right, next, we did receive a complete application for a one-day liquor license from the Minutemen for Pfeiffer's Day. You serve beer and wine, correct?
Yeah.
Beer and wine and cider.
Yeah, so, yeah.
All right, perfect. Any discussion about a one-day liquor license for Pfeiffer's Day? No. All righty. I move to approve the special one-day liquor license for Pfeiffer's Day on September 2nd, 2023, with a rain date of September 3rd, 2023.
Second.
Any further discussion? Discussion from the floor? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That one carries unanimously. Okay, last but not least, I move to approve the special one-day common victualers license for Pfeiffer's Day on September 2nd, 2023, with a rain date of September 3rd, 2023. Tony, what's on the menu? Oh, sorry, second.
For the food, it'd be the usual stuff. It would be burgers, hot dogs, chicken,
French fries, sausage? Okay. I'm sorry, Wes.
That's fine.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion, questions about the menu? Hey, it's
It's the usual stuff. Which we all have come to know and love.
all right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, Pfeiffer's Day is on with the potential for a parade and a road race. Okay, awesome.
Skating rink events here if you want to.
I was gonna jump you in next. Absolutely. Let's do the skating event. Okay. Come on up to the mic. We won't make you wait till the end. You did put a nice application together, but if you don't mind introducing yourself
course.
again, we've met, but
That's right. I'm Lisa Coach, the president of Neshoba Valley Olympia, and we are holding the ISI World Recreational Figure Skating Championships next week, the 3rd through the 6th of August. And we will have 800 skaters and their families around town and in our building. And because we don't have really that great capacity for both the people as well as feeding them all, we are having tents outside where people can pop their own like tailgate tents up, and we were having food trucks. And so I started the application June 5th and have gotten finally all the trucks, and they've all gotten approved individually from the Board of Health. Some of them are already on the list for the Board of Health.
Great.
I'm only lacking the letter from the Board of Health.
any idea when Jim Griffey might get that to us?
I think it's Bridget that.
Oh,
has
it's someone
to-
different. Okay.
Yeah,
Any
it's- well,
idea
she-
on the ETA?
that's a really good question.
Well, maybe.
It's not for lack of trying, I can say that, but I still don't have it.
Don't be nervous. You'll be okay. You'll get it.
Okay. So, but it's soon. So I just wanted that to make sure that I think I've dotted all my I's and crossed all my T's, but I just want to make sure that we can have those trucks come without incident next Thursday through Sunday.
Now, I'm curious, can the public attend, or this is
Sure.
purely for?
Sure. I mean, this is recreational figure skating. So it's trying to think of the best way to explain it, but they basically, people compete in their age group at their current level. So they're kind of met where they are. So they're lifelong skaters. So there's some 70-year-olds that come and compete, and there's little kids and there's teams. So it's more of a fun event. So yeah, anyone can come and look. It'll be kind of crazy, but anyone can go eat at the food trucks too, if they want
That's kind of
to.
an exciting thing for Boxborough.
Yeah, it is. And then down the street on Saturday evening at the New England Sports Center, Isabel Levito, who is a national champion, is doing a show
In Marlboro?
in Marlboro.
Oh.
So anyone can go to that.
Which
I think it's $25 a ticket for that. So
I
she'll
was
be
like, can you
good.
say that person's
Yeah.
name again?
Isabel
No, no, so
Levito.
which food trucks?
Oh, which?
Oh, the food trucks. All right, let's see. We have Caribbean Press. We have Downey's Barbecue. We have Methods of a Mad Woman. We have Super Duper Food Truck. We have Charlie Dogs. We have an ice cream truck, maybe. I don't know if she got hers in. They're all different things, different days, but at like 3 or 4 a day, and a coffee truck in the mornings.
Very cool.
So-
Very cool.
Of course, Oscars is there.
And Oscars is there as well, always.
And Oscar serves ice cream, right?
Just a little.
Kind of.
They're like
Kind
little
of.
cups that you just, they're like.
Yeah,
they're
he
like the
doesn't
quick
really.
cups That you just go and buy at the grocery store. And
Yeah.
They like-
So yeah, I wouldn't,
Yeah.
I wouldn't go to Oscars for ice cream, but I'd go there for many other things for sure. Yeah.
Oh, the quesadillas are awesome.
Yeah. That's so good.
Any other questions about this?
So is this new? Is this something that happens every year?
It happens everywhere, but not here. It goes all around the country.
Oh, okay.
So we won the bid to have it.
Oh, congratulations. That's great.
I think I say thank you.
Well, yeah, right.
It's still in my
Wait and see.
planning stages, but yes, thank
When
you.
it's all over, you'll sleep.
I think I would. Yes.
Anything else?
So we need the Board of Health approval of a letter before we can.
Well, what
We
we'll
can-
do is we'll approve subject to the receipt of a
Okay.
Board of Health letter. Yeah, yeah, and maybe
Sounds
we
great.
can help move that along. Maybe Mike can reach out.
So
We're gonna bring on the big guns.
Awesome.
We'll make him reach
Thank
out.
you. I appreciate it.
I know that Kelly and Lisa have been reaching out quite a bit. I'll follow up with a call tomorrow as well. I don't know if that'll do much more, but I'll try.
Thank you very much. I
Okay,
appreciate it.
I'll beg.
Begging. This is an honor. We got selected. An honor.
That's right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All righty. Any questions from everybody visiting today? No? All righty. On I move to approve the special 4-day common victualler license for Neshoba Valley Olympia skating rink competition from August 3rd, 2023 through August 6th, 2023 during the hours of 7:30 a.m. and 8:00 p.m. each day, contingent upon the approval of the Board of Health.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Any other questions? No? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, there we go. Now, let's see, the next one, there is a $25 charge. You're okay with that? All right. I move to charge $25 for the common victualers license fee for Neshoba Valley Olympia skating rink competition from August 3rd, 2023 through August 6th, 2023.
Second.
Any discussion?
One thing of note,
Sure.
we have not had an application like this before. I don't know if ever, where there's been a 1-day or a multiple 1-day common vic license that hasn't been a nonprofit. So we haven't seen a fee charge for that. The normal fee for a common vic is $100. It didn't seem fair to us that they'd be charged $100 for a 4-day. So I set the $25 just to be upfront, because I think we're a for-profit organization. We didn't think it should be waived like other nonprofits. So I just want to make the board aware of that where the $25 came from. It's just not something that's come up in our fee structure before.
Sure. So we gave you a little discount as a friendly gesture, and then you're covering 5 minutes of Kelly's time. Any comments or questions about this? No? Alrighty. So, any comments on the floor? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? All right. We're looking forward to it. We'll keep an eye out. I'm looking forward to Charlie's dogs myself. I don't care what goes in a hot dog. My family asks me all the time, do you know what's in a hot dog? I don't care. Okay. Okay, Francie, I see you're here. Let's get you appointed. Is that okay? Or were you here for something else? No, you've already been appointed.
Here to support Andrew's.
I don't think Andrew's here. All right, so we'll hold on then. You're welcome. And everybody else, okay. Everybody else is here to be appointed. Sorry, I've got my reading glasses on. All right, let's go back to the agenda. We'll get back into, all right, it is 7:26. So we have a few minutes. Why don't we, is there any public input? Anybody on Zoom have any public input? Oh, someone's got their hand up. I am so sorry, Keith. We have to keep an eye on that. Keith, how long has your hand been up? I'm sorry.
Just now, when you went to public
Is he
comment.
muted?
Oh, you're muted.
Can you hear me now? I'm not muted.
I'm not a techie.
I wonder if that audio is just not feeding back in here.
You hear me now? You hear me now?
Hey, Kirby, do you have any insight into the Zoom audio?
I think he's working on it.
What's that?
He's working.
Oh, he's working on it. Okay. Hang on, Keith. We'll get you. And I apologize. I wasn't keeping an eye on the screen, so I'm sorry. Try talking.
Hello?
Not yet.
All right.
If you need to bring up your audio, we'll hear feedback on it, if you should get a question.
Ready to try? Let's try again. Okay, Keith.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Try again.
Hello?
We can hear you.
You hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, just quick question, or actually consideration by the board. I'd just like to ask you guys to consider requesting payment for the outstanding overpayment of salary by Sergeant Pelly. He paid back 6 months of his overpayment based on the payroll issues. And by my account, he owes about $12,000 for 12 months, additional 12 months that wasn't paid back to the town. So I just wanted to get that in publicly and ask you guys to consider that. Doesn't have to be answered tonight.
Okay, so everything you said kind of got doubled. What I wrote down is that you are looking for Officer Pelly to pay back 6 months of overpayment.
12 months of additional salary. And it totals about $12,000.
Do you have any more details on this, Keith?
Yeah, I can get you details now.
When,
Yeah,
what?
Yep, absolutely. I can send it to the board. I'll email the select board.
Oh, you'll email it. Okay.
Yep, I
so-
can email it. I just wanted to make that comment and I'll send you the details.
Are you okay if we put this on a future meeting then? Because I
Yeah,
certainly
sure.
feel.
Yep.
Okay, all right, so we'll put this on the August meeting as a citizens input.
Yep,
and-
and I'm happy to join back after I provide that information, but I just wanted to make the official request this evening.
Sure. All right.
Thank
Duly
you.
noted, and we'll see you in August. I'm not
Thanks.
sure.
Yeah, not a problem. I'll be in touch.
Okay, all right.
Thanks,
there-
Kristen.
You're welcome. Is there any other public input? Francie?
Just witnessing tonight how difficult it is to hear. I'm sitting just one row behind. I could not hear the speakers very well. Not you, but the person who had his or her back to me. Do you have plans to set up some kind of an audio system for this room so people who are in this room can hear? I know that through these speakers, everyone else on the outside can hear, but those who are right in this room really cannot.
Okay. Oh,
and-
no, that's really good input. And I've seen other people kind of frown like they can't hear. Kirby, do you have any input on this? Only because this is your shenanigans?
Not shenanigans.
Oh, shenanigans a bad word?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
There's speakers in the ceiling that work really well. There's also a hearing impaired status system that can be used as well for those folks. So I would recommend, Francie, come back and visit and we'll tune things up so you can hear a little better.
Right, this has been brought up to me by other people, so I'm not the only
It's not
one.
just-
No, I'm just
Who
making
are
a
saying
comment
it's difficult.
because we've heard that, but we've heard, oh, somebody told me,
Well, I'm telling him.
and that's what I'm saying. Francie, my dear friend, come back and visit.
So you know what I'm thinking is maybe we literally do figure out where it's easiest to hear. Because Francie's directly, all right, I have no depth perception. Is she directly under that one or are you in between them? What's above you, Francie?
Bose, kind of to my left.
Okay. Because I'm wondering, I'm not a techie. Does sound do this maybe or this? I don't know what, Wes, what does sound do?
Typically a cone.
Okay. In all seriousness, maybe we'll come back and we can maybe bring a couple of friends and we'll test where it's easiest to hear and we can kind of guide people best places to sit. Does that make sense?
Can we turn it up a
Yes,
little?
ma'am.
I love that. I love a yes, ma'am. Can we turn it up?
I already just did.
Okay.
I get a point where that gives me feedback. Your mic comes up front.
I know, I'm wicked loud. Can you turn mine down and turn theirs up?
It's not you at all, man.
You don't mean that. Okay. All right.
Kirby also brought up a point that there are assisted like headphones that are more direct and
Mhm.
will pick up all the microphones that people may not be aware of.
So are they literally headphones over there that you could use?
There are setups, but we have to know about it so we can plug the pieces in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There are like, I think 6 or 8 of them here.
Awesome. All right. So that's a resource also. If people don't Do they have to put it over their hair?
It's an earpiece.
Okay, just asking, because I don't want to rest my hair.
Come back sometime, we'll tell you all about it.
We'll have a party. Alrighty.
So Kirby, I have a question. So we've invested in putting these panels on the walls to absorb some of the, acoustic echo. And we've done the same with the ceiling tiles. Is it possible to, sometimes they'll put those foam covers on microphones to not get as much reverberation into these microphones, but so that folks in the crowd can hear better from that microphone?
So
Is that
what you're
possible?
referring to is a windsock,
Yes.
and that's for outside applications. And since those panels have been put up here, we've tested things and everything seems to work. In fact, I'm hearing an echo now coming from those ceiling speakers. So that's why I'm saying when you start pushing it too loud, then it messes up the normal audio pickups.
Okay.
So happy to explain things to people, but just turning up the volume is not the solution.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Well, again, this is someone fixing your comment, so we have to.
We're being helped.
That's right.
All right, we'll figure it out. Thank you very much. I've actually heard that also.
But I would like to see you back, please. Thank you.
You've been enlisted. Okay, it is now 7:35. We do have the police union here. Under new business, section 8, we have grievance hearing step 2 for 2 grievances that the police union brought forward. I've never done this before, not as my previous run or currently. So what's the protocol?
So I would ask, you could have either party, probably have the union go first, explain what the grievance is, and then, explain their rationale. I have not done this process where it's been in front of a select board before. In my experience, and it can be done either way, either in front of a select board, or in front of the town administrator. In their collective bargaining agreement, step 2 is in front of the select board. So this is new to me as well. But what I would suggest is they explain what the grievance is, and a grievance is a contractual interpretation, I would say a difference. So I assume that the union is interpreting the language one way, the chief is interpreting it a different way, and they're bringing it to you to make a determination on where you think the language in the contract lies and who is interpreting it correctly. I know that the union council has looked at it. Town council has looked at it and given their interpretations. I have looked at it, and now it's the board's turn to look at it. And I'm welcome to, you're welcome to ask me questions, but I think your better source of information is going to be from the chief and from the union president.
All right, there on the back of the grievance, there is a little chart where it does walk you through it. Informal, there's an informal discussion between the union and the chief, then a formal discussion. Then it comes to the select board, and then the select board has the option of making a determination this evening or taking time and coming back at a future day. We have 30 days to make a decision. Does that sound right? All righty. Any questions from the board before we get started? All right, why don't we start with the union explaining what the grievance is? Well, let's start with the, I personally think the holiday pay is the hard one. So let's start with the easier one, which is the hangover. At least I think it's easy. Yeah, let's start with hangover. It's just simpler. The language is simpler.
Okay.
It will warm us up.
I can stand up. Thank you. Evening select board. I know we have some new positions here, so I don't think I've had the chance to introduce myself. My name is Chris Lowney. I'm the current president of the local 200 police union. Come before you tonight. We have 2 grievances. I'll be addressing the first one here. One of our first grievances between the union and the chief regards what we call hangovers for officers. So if one officer needs a fellow officer to stay over for a short period of time on their scheduled shifts between 2 officers, we ask each other to do that. For example, if I'm running late from unforeseen circumstance, a detail's running late where I can't just leave the crew in the middle of the road with all their equipment, I may ask Sergeant Gath here is on day shift. Sergeant Gath, do you mind hanging over for me 10 minutes? I'm just clearing my detail, or, I had an unforeseen circumstance come up. Do you mind just hanging over for me? There is no cost item to the town. Sergeant Gath wouldn't be putting in for overtime. It's more of a gentleman's agreement between two officers that he'd hang over for me. The next day, I'd return the favor for him. This is stuff that's been done through departments all throughout the state, all throughout the country. It's just common practice, not even just in policing, but I know nursing as well, and a lot of other public safety positions. We brought this to the chief, saying that this is something we've done in the past. It has been a past practice. It isn't a cost item to the town. He brought to us, I understand there may be a liability issue. Who's working and who's not. I mean, we all are employees of the town, all covered under the town's insurance, but we stated that I think for better accountability purposes, we do have a scheduling software that we can put in there to see who covered for someone on a certain day. That wouldn't be a burden at all to our officers, because the sergeants and supervisors of that shift would make sure that'd be entered into our software. And all it is again, not a cost item for the town. It's more of a gentleman's agreement or gentlewoman's agreement. We have also female officers with us, but between two officers, basically to help each other out. And like I said before, no one's putting it for overtime. This isn't a cost item to the town at all. So that's our first grievance we had.
So when I look at it, you're referencing section 4 of your contract.
Correct.
All employees may be allowed to exchange shifts with the prior approval of the chief or his or her designee, provided that it can be done at no cost to the employer.
Mhm.
So is there any, say you're running late in your detail?
Yep.
Who do you say, hey, I'm running late? Just the officer? or
So I
someone-
would, if the officer, I'd let him know, but also if there's a shift supervisor who's ever on, whether it be a sergeant, lieutenant at the time, let him know the circumstance, and that Sergeant Gath agreed he'd stay over for me if, it gets approved by a supervisor on that end.
So that would be the chief's designate, a shift supervisor or sergeant or whatever.
Correct. So again, a sergeant or lieutenant, depending on who was, some shifts we don't have a sergeant on. So whoever would be the officer in charge of that shift.
Does anybody else have any questions for Chris before we go to the chief? Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't, I don't have any question. I mean, it seems,
Okay. Well, this is just for their grievance, and then we'll ask the chief to respond and help us understand what the issue is. That work? Okay,
Thank you.
chief, you are up. Help us understand what the liabilities are, what the issue is.
Sure, I'll just give you a little background. And I want to, I've said this since the day I got here. Officers do a great job here. Calls for service, very few complaints. They do a terrific job. What I have in the 8 months I've been here is a little more structure, though. Make it a little more of it is a paramilitary organization, and have a little more structure in the organization, a top-down structure. You report to a supervisor, reports to, a sergeant, a lieutenant, and then the chief, and that sort of command level structure. So that's some of the big changes. And one of those changes was going through the contract. Again, not their performance on the road. And I don't want these to be perceived as going through the contract and ensuring the contract is followed to be anything negative about their work performance, because there absolutely is not in that regard. But in going through the contract, I came up with quite a few things that were not being followed. And I sat down with the union and brought these to their attention. A couple of them, and I think you guys got a letter. There was a few of them, something like the Juneteenth. They have to use a holiday. They can only use it afterwards, after June 19th. Well, that didn't make a lot of sense because there's only 11 days to use it. So we were able to come to some agreements. But one of the things that I brought forward was people were kind of just, I cover you for an hour, I'll cover you for an hour. there's a big liability issue with that is who's getting paid if someone's not there. There's an issue with if someone gets hurt, were they actually on duty or not on duty? And this wasn't even documented. This wasn't put, it was just kind of a, hey, I got you. And I said that this needs to stop. It needs to be documented. Then we sat down in the second issue again. I'll talk about the other grievance. So at that point, again, no shifts have been denied, but I want to go forward with this grievance in the language. The language simply states that, and it's not a shall, it's a may. All employees may be allowed to exchange shifts with the prior approval of the chief or my designee. Okay. And then we got into this, can you do a partial shift? Well, it says in the contract, exchange shifts. Doesn't say partial shifts. That being said, let's put that on hold for a second. This is a may and not a shall. The ability for them to exchange shifts has to be approved by me or my designee. If they wanted the contract to be different, it would be shall be allowed. It is not. This is a may. We shall give them 12 holidays a year. We shall pay them this rate. That is a shall. This is a may. It is a determination by the chief. And changing that mid-contract is dangerous. A may to a shall. Now, for your information, there has not, since I've been here, been one shift swap request that I have denied. They have all been done far in advance, and I have approved all those for an entire shift. That's how you run an organization. I need to know who is working, who is not working, who is coming in. If people are running late, they can use an hour of comp time. Someone can stay over an hour. That happens. We're human. Someone might get in a car accident, someone childcare issues and whatnot. So for those circumstances, they have that ability. But as far as swapping a shift, even though it is a may, and I have that ability, it's not a shall, it's a may, I have approved, or my designee has approved every single one since I've been here. I have stated that when you are running late, instead of an hour here, I got you over here, I got you. No, call your supervisor, use an hour of comp time, compensatory time. Someone can stay over or maybe run shorthanded for an hour. And that's how we will handle it going forward. But it becomes a real problem when in the middle of a contract, they want to change a may to a shall. Now, even though we were in the middle of a contract, I still sat down with them a second time. And we met on April 7th and then I believe again on April 20th, but don't hold me to those dates. We met 2 weeks later and I gave the union the opportunity to engage in midterm bargaining if they wanted to offer something. And that is how this is done when you're changing a contract midterm, give them 30 days notice, which we did. And we sat down and nothing was presented other than, well, this is the way we've done it. This has been the practice. If you give them the opportunity to bargain, which I did, if you sit down and they did not engage in any back and forth, just saying this is the way it is, and you're changing a shall to a may to a shall, that is very problematic. So for your information, I have approved every single swap shift. However, partial swap shifts are not in the contract. And regardless of that, I do have the ability. If this was that important, they would have been a shall, just like they shall receive their pay. They shall receive vacation days. It is not as a may. So I would urge you not to change a contract midterm unless there's some midterm bargaining, which they did not want to engage in, and keep it the way it is. But again, for your information, I have approved every full shift request or a designee since they have come forward with them. But approving an hour here, 2 hours here, there is a much more better way to run an organization. And that's, how I've told them to move forward, going forward with it.
Can I ask how often are hangovers requested? No one ever wants a hangover. Because I feel like you've kind of addressed two different things here.
Yep.
You're talking about exchanging shifts.
Yep.
I completely understand you're a strong chief. It is a may. It is at your discretion. But what I see this particular grievance about is hangovers, which was then presented as 10 minutes to an hour, not.
Yeah, there's nothing in the contract that allows for that. Even they put in section 4. This is the closest thing. Just someone hanging over for me. That's not a practice of how to run a
Right.
department, run a quasi-military organization. I understand that people run late and they could use time. They could say, I'm running late and get, either dock time or use other time that they have on the books. But again, they reference section 4 because what they are doing, it's not a hangover, it's a swap shift swap. That's what they're doing. They're trying to swap a shift for an hour or for 2 hours. Often, maybe they're running late, maybe they want to work a detail. And I want to get away from that. I want the person to work the shift and not give me an hour here, give me an hour here. And you have this undocumented type of system, which is really not the way to run any company, any organization, any department. So that is what it is. It's a hangover. It's a shift swap. And that's what they've referenced section 4 in the grievance.
But, so I guess my question was, how often does it actually, is it weekly? Is it daily? Is it monthly?
I would think I have directed the supervisors not to engage in that. They can call in, and if they need an hour of comp time, they can do that. But in the summertime, I would assume it would happen a lot more because there's more road jobs. People are using it. I got held over on a road job. And again, trying to get away from that, but they can absolutely swap shifts, and they can do that with a pre-approval, which everyone has been approved so far. And so I guess I want to bring it back to there.
I guess I need to pull you back because I still don't have a clear answer on how often it's actually happening. I understand you don't like it and you don't feel that it's efficient in the way that the department should be run. I hear you say that. I get it. But how often do these emergencies?
I guess it would be hard to answer because it wasn't documented my first few months. And that's why I put a stop to this. They weren't documenting it. And I was just told, that's why I talk about bringing more structure to the department. And that's what I've been trying to do. Follow the contract a little bit better. This is swapping shifts. There was no contractual provision that lets hangovers for an hour. It just doesn't here. The closest thing is here, which they referenced in their own grievance. And in doing that reference, you need to swap an entire shift. And the language is clear in that regard.
So I have 2 questions. My first question, I guess, is, so like the officer in charge, what if the person that's requesting the holdover or shift swap is the officer in charge? Do you then just approve your own?
That's been an issue. You should absolutely go to somebody other. If you're a supervisor, go to a different supervisor, or go to someone above you. If that person's not working, go to a separate supervisor.
So I guess I'm also wondering if this is possibly partially a scheduling problem, because if you're scheduling or signing up for a detail that runs, if the shifts are 7 to 11 or 7 to 3, 3 to 11, and 11 to 7, if you're scheduling or signing up for a detail that ends at 7 and is in wherever, Littleton or whatever, you can't actually be in Boxborough at the time of your shift. And I'm guessing that that's where a lot of these come from.
I'm assuming that, yes, some of those, that is a practice that occurs that I'd like to get away from. Now, do sometimes details go longer? And this could happen, of course. If a detail is ending at a certain time, I have no problem with an officer going from a detail right to work. That's normal, and often they get out early. So I'm not trying to take anything away, but again, I just want to bring it back to, it's a may, it's not a shall. So they didn't have a right. They didn't bargain this right. And we're looking at the contract. There's nothing about allowing hangovers. The only ability to swap shifts is a full shift swap with the approval of the chief, in which I have granted every single one. So.
Of course.
Can I hear from the union? How many times have you guys made this request in the past 30 days?
In the past 30 days, not because the chief made it clear to all the supervisors that they didn't want it happen. Like the chief stated as well as us, usually most details run from 7 a.m. to 3, like a common detail shift. If officers work at 3 to 11, they usually take a detail during the day and then we'll go into your shift. Unforeseen circumstances with a contractor, they have us from 7 to 3. If something happens in the road or they have a hole in the road, it's tough for me to say to the contractor, hey, I'm working at 3. I gotta leave. They're like, well, we have a hole, it's a hazard hole in the road. So that's usually where they come in saying, the contract needs to be a couple more minutes. They're gonna fill this hole, they have to pave this spot. I think it's, as an officer, I know my shift starts at 3, but that's where it comes in is, I didn't sign up for this knowing it was gonna run late, because I'm responsible for my shift at 3. So that's where they come in. The last 30 days, it hasn't happened. But I know, especially now with more road jobs, like the chief stated here in the summertime, it's common. Crews a lot for 8 hours to do the job, but sometimes it does run a little over steps where that conversation can be had with who's ever on shift. Your mind is hanging over to me for, they're paving this one spot to be 20 more minutes and the crew's gonna get out of there. And that's where that conversation is had. And then, like I stated before, who's ever the supervisor on that shift, the day shift would approve or allow you to do so.
What's the maximum time on average is the hangover time? Is it like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour?
I would
on
say,
average?
oh, excuse me. I would say the max would probably be 30 minutes. It's rare an hour because that's to us a little egregious from the contract. I understand things happen. If that's the case, if it's going to run longer, 1 to 2 hours, they're going to have to page out for another detail and get another officer there. Because like I said, my obligations at that time, I have to work at 3. I can understand if it's, going to be 10 or 20 minutes just to fill this one spot. But if it's going to, be a major project and run over for an extended period of time, they would have to page out for another officer to come and relieve that person and then, till the end of that detail.
Now, before the chief said that this shouldn't be happening, how many times did it happen at that point, like in a month?
I would say in a month, it is a rare circumstance because usually everything goes smoothly, but I would say maybe in a month, 1 to 2 times. It isn't often.
Is it more during summertime,
It would-
less during wintertime?
So it'd be more
Is it
during
like
summertime because there's
work it
more
backwards to find
details, there's more people
detail.
working on the road.
Right? Yeah.
But they are paid, if they stay over a half hour, they are paid for 4 hours. So an 8.5 hour, they would get 12 hours. So it's understandable that they want to stay over that extra half hour. My concern is if they follow and I'm fine with that, but they need to follow the contract, and that needs them to call their supervisor and say, I'm running an hour late. I'm running a half hour late. I need to use an hour of comp time, an hour of earned time. If someone needs to stay over, they go down an hour, someone else gets an hour of overtime, or maybe they go short for that period of time. But that is how it is in the contract. If they wanted it otherwise, they would have bargained for shall and not may. So I'm not taking that ability away from them. They will still get the extra 4 hours, even though they may only work a half hour if it holds over. And I understand that if it's the contractor wants it, it's, they like it. I'm sure they get 4 hours. They're only there for a half.
The
But-
town makes a little more money too, right? We get a percentage of the.
A small percentage of,
Yeah.
so, but I just want it done the way the contract reads. And that's only been my issue. It's really not taking it away from them or prohibiting them from doing it, because it will help get over a half hour. And I think the contractors are pretty good. Hey, it's going to be 4 hours. It's going to be 5 hours. They'll hire someone else and they'll leave then on time. So again, not prohibiting the practice of why they can do this, just a different way of going about doing it that is much more in line with the contract. And if they want to bargain next time for forced shifts, as in shall they get this right, they could bargain for that, but they didn't. They bargained for may with the chief's approval.
So may I ask 2 questions? Or sorry, are you done?
Can we give Dave a turn since we've all had a turn and then?
So, the issue is, as I'm hearing it, you can't take details if you can't be here on time. Is that right?
That's
Correct. Yes. Also, back to the chief saying if you have to take an hour of comp time, that's going to cost an hour of overtime to the town. This, partial swap doesn't cost anything to the town. It's $0. So say if Officer Lowney is going to be running, an hour late, half hour late, he takes an hour of comp time. And there's no one on the 3 to 11 shift. If he's the only one on for 3 to 11, that means I have to hang over for an hour. Yeah, I get an hour of overtime, but that's going to cost the town an hour of my overtime salary. For our proposal, it's hey, I'm just holding over you for an hour. It's not going to cost anything to the town. It's a no cost item to the town.
But it strikes me what the chief has been describing is different. It's the swaps. It's the whole shift swap rather than these hangovers. Why can't there be a discussion about coming up with a new line item about how to manage these hangovers?
We said we were going to document that as part of our proposal. Document the swap, put it on the schedule from, say, Officer Gath is working from 3 to 4 for Officer Lowney in the notes. And then Officer Lowney says, say comes in the next day from say 2 PM to 3 PM for me an hour early to give back that partial swap. It'll be all documented. It's all there. So we know who's working at all times. We came to that agreement, well, not agreement, but came back with him that, and again, this is a no cost item to the town. Under his proposal, it's going to cost money and we got to use our own time and you have to fill it with overtime. We're already at minimum staffing already. We already have 1-man shifts. So say I'm Chris Lowney on a Friday is working a detail and he's working the 3 to 11 shift. He's the only one on. So then he would have to take an hour of his time under the chief's current proposal, and whoever's on day shift, me or whoever else, would have to work that hour of overtime.
Well, now someone would be going down one and someone would be getting in overtime, but someone would be losing an hour of overtime. You also may have to call a supervisor to have them put in the system, which every time they get a phone call, some will put in for 4 hours of overtime. So it's not as easy as he's saying it. Remember, someone's losing an hour, someone's gaining an hour. The thing is, you're being asked to change a contract and go from a may to a shall and in the middle of a contract. And there's no bargaining in the sense of giving something back. If they wanted this at the last contract, they could have put that forward. They did not. So now they're in the middle of a contract asking to come forward and take something that is the chief's prerogative, which I've approved every one for a full shift. And now they're trying to get an additional right here. That is a problem.
So I think that my biggest thing is Section 4 does not apply. It doesn't apply to this. It's not what you're talking about.
Well, that's what they filed the grievance.
So, they're filing a grievance because what they're saying is we're not being allowed to do this past practice. That's what the grievance
The
is.
grievance invalid because you have to cite a quote, part of the union contract for it to be a valid.
Something has to be
Right.
violated.
No, I understand that, but I think and we can certainly address this in a different way then. But the way I read it and the way Dave's reading it, we can ask the rest of the board, Section 4 doesn't apply. The may, the shall, because it's talking about exchanging a whole shift. Nowhere does it say hangover. Nowhere does it say an hour. What I'm saying, what I'm writing in here is, okay, this needs to be addressed in your future contract. And then what I'm hearing you saying as well, I was happy to address it and amend this contract if they gave us something. Why do they have to give something to get something?
That's called
Help me understand.
So that's typically how union negotiations go.
midterm bargaining.
Well, what do you want? What are you asking them?
I
to
wasn't
give?
asking, they brought it forward to me with
Right.
nothing. I said I could meet again with you in 2 weeks. They came forward again and again, didn't bring anything. They want to decrease or get an additional benefit,
Mhm.
midterm bargain
Mhm.
without giving something back. That is not how the system of collective bargaining works.
He could say is what I want then is for all details to end 30 minutes before the end of a shift scheduled to work. That could be one thing of bargaining for him to ask for. And it doesn't necessarily have to, that way it reduces the probability of these partial swaps. But I guess my question was going to be was, Chief, if you were open to negotiating additional language like mid-contract bargaining, partial swap strategy where you have something like where they're saying that one person gets overtime, but if you taken out whatever the hour of comp time from the person who's not there because they're getting paid for whatever, even if they're a doctor's appointment or whatever, if they have comp time, then the other person that's using it should be getting it. And then if they do cover it the next day, then the comp time would go back. And that's to me more of like the zero sum approach. But to Kristen's point, if this grievance, if the complaint doesn't address the contract, then this grievance would be invalid.
But, well, and then we have to handle it in a different way.
If they want to engage in midterm bargaining at any time on any issue, but they would have to, just like if there was an issue that myself or the town wanted, we would sit down with the union. They brought this forward. It was not in the contract. If I sat with them a second time and again, did not bring up anything to give back, that would be on them to bring something forward. I met with them on the 7th and the 20th, and there was nothing other than this is what we want. That's not how midterm bargaining works, which again, it's not for me to bring something to them. It's for them to say, this is what we're willing to give up because we really want this right. So they could wait till the next contract. They could always engage in midterm bargaining with me, but it requires a back and forth.
Again, I have never been in a union, so I've never had to do this. I have negotiated contracts before. I guess what I'm still focusing on is if it's past practice, and I was married to a police officer a long time, hangovers have existed forever. And whether it's was in this contract or not, I have no idea. But I guess the way I see this is maybe this isn't a formal grievance. Maybe this is just a management issue that y'all work out yourselves.
I gave them a second opportunity on the 7th and the 20th, and there was nothing there. So I agree.
So I guess-
This is,
It's
it could be
Then I guess
a little
given
bit
this,
difficult.
would you be
It
open?
is certainly not common practice, especially not documenting. Like I said, when I got here, there was no even documentation of this. That is a real problem. And I think they were even told that certainly our town attorney was not happy with that. There was no documentation. You think of injured on duty. You think of the police reform bill is who's working and getting the hours. That is a big problem. And that was just, hey, I got you over here. I got you over here. So yes, I've been a little bit more micromanaging of the contract, but in the long run, it's actually helping them. So yes, they're always willing to bring something to me. My door is always open, and I'm willing to listen to any proposals they have, but they have to bring them forward.
So this will be my last thing, and I'll pass it off to everyone else. So what I'm hearing you say, it's a documentation and a liability issue. I am not in favor of additional paperwork where the payroll can suffer again. If you start doing comp time, one person's getting overtime, one person's using an hour of their vacation time, we're just looking at the possibility of more errors. To me, that's a very scary thing to start doing all of this. I think that if you can manage documentation as a management way of saying, okay, you're going to call this whomever, it's going to go into whatever, and it gets documented that way, you're covered for insurance purposes, and we don't have to get comp time and overtime involved.
I gave them the opportunity, and they always have that opportunity. I met with them the second time. I tried that approach the first time. We met on the 7th and I believe the 20th, and nothing was offered.
Madam Chair, can I
Yeah.
answer on that? So the chief he did mention midterm bargaining. We didn't engage in that because he said to us, well, what are you going to give back? And to us, it was something that us hanging over isn't costing anything to the town. It's more costing the employer or the contractor, if anything. So for him to say, well, what are you going to give the town? Well, the town it's not hurting the town, and we're not costing the town any money. One of the things we did bring was, you're right, I think it could be better documented. We said as a management suggestion that we could put this in our attendance, our tracking system. The supervisor can be in charge of that. So it is there. Reliability reasons to know who's there and who isn't. We brought that as a suggestion. The chief was not in favor of that at the time. So we weren't willing to work with them on some things. We weren't willing to give up anything because we felt that, again, it was between, the officer and the contractor who had hired us for that period of time, giving the town back something. We didn't engage in that because we didn't feel like the town was involved in any on that.
Mike, I can feel you. You're dying to, you have something to say.
Well, a couple of thoughts. If the town wants to do something that is not in the collective bargaining agreement for any union, the town would be required under Mass General Law, Section 150E, to negotiate that change. The same is required of the union. If you're looking to change what's in a two-party negotiated contract, you have to negotiate that. And that's what the chief is saying. The language is clear. A grievance is when the language is not clear and it's being interpreted differently. The language, when I read it, was fairly clear. There just is not language that relates to what the police union would like. That would be a practice where they would have to comply with MGL 150E and negotiate either midterm bargaining, or better yet, in my preference, would be at the last or next negotiation period. So that's one thing, is that the town would be required to negotiate any change to the contract, and the same applies to the union. The other thing is, I expect the department heads to manage their departments, to manage their budgets, and to manage their contracts. The chief is doing those things. And if we tell him not to manage his contract, or to be a little bit loose with it, it's going counter to the instructions that I'm giving to our department heads. I expect them to go by the letter of the law. And I've told all of our department heads who have, and there are 4 of them, who have union contracts, to follow the letter of the contract. And where you find gray areas, highlight those. And when we come to the next negotiation period, let's get the gray out of there. Let's get it to black and white, because it does no good for the town or for the union members to have any vagueness where, there's 2 different interpretations. It's have to get it to black and white. To me, this one's black and white. It doesn't address what they want, but other language that should be negotiated may address what's desired.
So are all management policies and procedures in the union contract?
All managed.
Policies and procedures, because to me.
No, policy and procedures are not. Management rights are, when it comes to hours of work, comes to vacation days, holidays, things like that are in the contract. Hours of work are in the contract, and that is absolutely a management right.
But why wouldn't hangover be a policy and procedure, not a union negotiated? Like I'm please know, I'm not on anybody's side. I am trying to parse this.
Because they took now, not everybody has swap shifts. Not every police department does. They, during negotiations, sometime in the back, it would be 3 years ago, 6 years ago, 20 years ago, they got swapping shifts in their contract. They bargained for that, to bargain for an entire shift. They did not bargain for being able to swap 4 hours or 2 hours. They can bargain for that.
But
They
my
can
question is,
bargain.
why do they have to bargain to swap 15 minutes to a half an hour? That again, I've never been in the union.
Because that is a management right of hours of work. And it's clearly delineated in the contract on what, yes, they have certain hours, 7 to 3, their shift, how they bid their shifts, things like that are delineated in the contract. So is the ability that they can swap an entire shift. They did never bargain to be able to swap partial shifts. Doesn't exist. It's not in here. They didn't put that in there. So yes, it is absolutely a department head, a management right in that regard.
Okay.
And I'm certainly willing, and I've always been willing to work with them on anything, but they didn't bring anything forward.
Okay, we're going in circles now. Thank you.
So
Anybody else?
I do have 2 questions.
Sure.
Or I guess, yeah, 2. So what I guess I'm hearing you say, Chief, is that you're open to even a third discussion or even more discussions until something gets worked out, whether it's now or at the next contract cycle. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then I guess my other comment or question is, if this only happens once or twice a month, what is your objection to using the comp time as the chief has asked you to, which would only be 12 or 24 times throughout the year? And so I guess I'm curious as to what the issue with that is, if it's an extraordinary or very rare occurrence, and why you, I guess, yeah. And why you're looking to change the contract for a rare situation.
So one of the things we had was, and we even discussed in our meetings, was the use of comp time. And we even talked about with the chief that if he wanted to, if it ran late, we could put in an hour of comp time. But it was up to the chief or his designee to approve it. And he informed us that he would deny said time. So this is where we tried to agree where, all right, we're trying to work with you. We'll put in an hour of comp time if it does run over. But at the end of the day, him or his designee is the one approving that. And he stated he'd deny it if we did so. And again, this is something that like you said, it's unforeseen. I don't take a detail. I know that's going to end at 4 when I work at 3. That would be right. And that's not what's going on here. This is a detail that, you know, was designated to end at 3 and it ran late for whatever reason on the contractor's end. This isn't, hey, I get an extra 4 hours if you keep me for an extra 20 minutes. Yeah, that's unethical. I know none of my officers are having that discussion with them. This is, the contractor couldn't get the work done in said time. We'd ask him, like I said, if it was going to be longer, he's got to page out for another detail that's going to run, multiple hours. But a short period of time is not something that, we've told the contractor, hey, we have to leave. And that's the discussion we've had.
I think that's a little inaccurate. The conversation was, if someone wants to sign up for a road job that is going to run into their shift, okay, that is different than they signed up for one that ended before their shift and it ran over, and that happens once in a while. I am absolutely fine with that. What I said is I don't want people signing up for ones that go into their shift knowing that ahead of time. That was the difference. So that really wasn't accurate with what I said. And I'm trying to manage a department, make sure that shift work is number 1, details 1A, 2, 1A. I get it. It's part of their job. I'm not trying to take them away, but shift work is number 1.
And also,
I feel like Wes's question was, do you object to the solution the chief has offered, which is comp time, an hour for an hour?
that's going to cost money to the town. I know he's very stringent on his overtime funds. He wouldn't want to spend that. So again, days were denied, and this doesn't apply to details too. Say I have a doctor's appointment or there's an accident on the highway. Hey, listen, 6:30 in the morning, 495. It's always some type of.
They're all on Hill Road. Yeah.
So, yeah. And hey, I'm going to be a half hour late because I'm not going to make it by 7 a.m. or say 3 o'clock on a Friday driving in for my 3 to 11 shift. There's an accident. Hey, do you mind holding over for me for 30 minutes until I get there? Sure, no problem. I mean, do I have to put in for an hour of comp time for that at that point? So this is where we're running.
And the person being held over will and should be compensated for that if they're held over.
Yeah.
So you're not against doing it if that's where this ends up. You're not against it. You're just that's not your preference.
Right. This
Because
is
you're
no
afraid it's
cost
gonna
item
hurt
to
you
the
later
town.
and the
It's
overtime
just-
budget is taxed.
Correct.
All right. I still don't feel like I feel like I got 2 answers to my question. So I'm going to go back to why can't holdover simply be management purview under policy and procedures? I don't understand why it has to be in the contract. You can still say no.
And that's how this started. If you are going to take the closest thing in the contract, it's a may
Nope,
and not a shall.
Stick to my question.
It is a management right. I agree with
Okay,
you.
so it is it is the sergeant lieutenant's, your designee, you and your designee's right to say yes or no to a half an hour.
That's not how I would run. That's not how
I
a lot of
understand.
chiefs would run a department.
Please know I understand.
But yes,
I'm trying
it
to
is.
sort this out.
It is the department head's right. Yes.
Because the way I'm looking at it is, like I expressed before, it's gonna cost money, it's gonna cost effort, and there's more room for error. Because now when he's using up 1 hour comp, I'm just pointing you, Chris, you use 1 hour comp time, now you have 7 hours left, you take a day off, you owe the town an hour. So I just see that as a recipe for disaster. All right, I've said my piece, I don't need to say it again. Dave, let's just kind of scooch down and look, thoughts?
Well, I think the argument in terms of the grievance is well placed because there's no, these folks have had sort of a matter of fact way of operating for all this time. So there was no reason to put it in the contract. Right? I mean, because it was there. So the chief's point is, well, it should be in the contract. Well, okay, he's right. At this point, it should be in the contract, but there is nothing in the contract right now of hangovers. So I wish that there could be an agreement between the union and the chief how to define and how they're going to manage the hangovers, so that there could be something that won't cost the town money and that people would be happy with. And I assume the chief is negotiating on behalf of the town when you say the town needs to negotiate, the chief is actually the guy who's doing that. So I'd kind of like to send it back to him and say, come on, this is something they were doing. It was taken away. It wasn't in the contract. There should be something in the contract. Do we need to wait 2 years to get it into the contract? Or can we come up with something?
That,
I'm done.
Wes?
So I guess what I'm effectively understanding is that this grievance would then be invalid because it doesn't apply to the part of the complaint of holdovers doesn't apply to the part of these shift swaps. And so at that point, this would go back to the chief and the union to do either negotiation or however they want to hash it out. But at the crux of it, that then this grievance would be not valid. And so we wouldn't necessarily even need to opine on it.
Well, it's still being brought to us as an issue. And my feeling is whether it's a formal grievance, whether we say, nope, it's no longer a formal grievance, it is now a management issue. Either way, we're discussing it now. So we don't kick the can. We have to decide.
Well, I
what we're
understand,
doing
no,
with
but
this.
we have so I guess what I'm trying to say is right now, this isn't a formal grievance process, which is defined in their contract.
Mhm.
And I'm saying, or I guess what I'm understanding is, or whatever is, if this complaint doesn't violate or is not like it's not covered by the contract, then you can't have a grievance for that. And so then it would not be in our hands anymore. That's what I guess I'm saying. And so then that would be up to Mike and John to then negotiate or discuss with the union how best to handle this. But the grievance process is defined for misinterpretations between in the contract between the union and management of the town.
Mhm.
And if that's like, if there's just no, like, we're not talking, like, if this one doesn't cover it, then there's no grievance.
Yep.
And so for this process, because there are signatures and there's a process set out for the grievance, this would not be a valid grievance.
Gotcha.
And that's what I guess I'm saying. And so I'm not saying we just say, yeah, not my problem, but there's process for this.
Mm.
And if we're being asked to follow a process, we should at least try to follow it to what because we're following part of it based in the contract. And if you're asking us to then go outside the contract or create a new process, that's not part of the contract, I guess, in the simplest way to put
I
it.
think I gotcha. All right. Anything else?
No,
Yeah.
I think this is all a procedure issue in my mind. I feel like not every little detail we can foresee and put it in a contract in my mind. Because like, I mean, now we are talking about this, tomorrow it might be something else, like, okay, somebody is sick or like, I mean, every little detail, I'm just thinking, we don't even know what the possibilities are. Like, and how can we make sure that everything gets into the contract? I think we need to be able to work, like, I mean, there's some amount of flexibility in every job, like, I mean, not like a daily flexibility, but like in a situation where I'm like there's a traffic jam or there is like somebody is sick, like I need to get someone to the house to like before I could leave, like the half an hour, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, all that should be worked out in a procedure level. I can see if it's an exchange of complete shifts, that might be more of a contractual thing because that's more clear cut, but other things, I think this has to be more between you guys to work it out and make sure that it happens. Obviously, it needs to be documented. I mean, I work in healthcare and it happens very often where like we need to have a nurse kind of like, hey, hang in there before I could come so that you can hand me over your patients. And then I go in, then they hand it over, even if it's like 5-10 minutes straight, I'm stuck in the road, whatever it might be. But we do get like have all those documentation. Okay, this person didn't leave at 3 o'clock when they were supposed to leave. They did leave only at like 3:22, right? Whatever the time may be, so that there is documentation that covers like what happened during that time between when I was supposed to take over the shift and that. So I think there should be definitely procedures that should be clear cut and delineated. But this, to me, if it's just the hangover piece, you guys should be able to work it out. I know it might not be something that you probably have always had it, like, so it might have been much more easier from a union standpoint, like from your staff, from all your staff, that they might have been more reliant on that. Now you have to be more conscientious. And I can see, Chief, from your end, it's like you don't want this to become an easy way for people to like do things on a day-to-day regular basis. But if it's once in a while, I think we need, I mean, that's just. my
I
personal
couldn't,
opinion,
I do agree with you.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I came here, they weren't even documented.
Yeah.
It was really dangerous to, I think, the officers themselves. So, again, they always have the ability. It is a management tool, like you said, a management right, but they always have the ability to come talk to me. And I've gave them that ability, and they have that ability moving forward anytime.
I think you guys can work it out.
Mike, what do you think? Your thoughts?
Well, I don't think it is a legitimate grievance. If you as a board do, then you should either sustain it or deny it. If it's denied, the union has the right to take it to step 3, which is arbitration, where the town would pay half of the arbitration fee, the union would pay half of the arbitration fee. It would amount to probably around $1,250 a piece to take it to arbitration. And my suspicion or my professional judgment tells me that an arbitrator is going to say, why is this here? This isn't a legitimate grievance, because it's not, it's not a misinterpretation of language. I don't think it belongs here.
Well, I'm actually the one that started it by saying, I don't think section 4 applies.
Right.
So, I need some help here. It's from, do we get a sense of the board? I mean, I'm basically saying, I don't think it applies. Do we just run down the, Dave, do you think this applies?
Yeah, as I said before, I don't think it applies. I
Okay.
think that there needs to be something in there in the contract, because has become an issue, but it's not there now. So it can't be a grievance against something that's not there.
Okay.
So, that's why my hope would be to have these guys work it out, but maybe well, I think to Mike's point, if it goes to arbitration, they might just say, well, show me the language, there's nothing here. So,
Okay, so you're agreeing with me, Wes, that you feel does it apply or not apply, the grievance?
So I guess I'm just saying it's invalid. And
Okay.
so, yeah.
Priya?
I agree with you guys.
Okay, so now what I'm hearing from the board is the direction is the grievance is invalid, but we are sending you back to work it out, management with patrolmen, that we'd like to see documentation. Work it out.
My recommendation would be if they can find a way between the chief and the union to work this out between now and the next negotiation,
Mhm.
and it is something that happens every now and again, then it should find its way into the contract language, because it is something that has now come up.
Yep.
So, I would agree, find
Yeah.
a way to work it out for now,
Yep.
whether it's a side letter or midterm bargaining or whatever.
I
But
don't even think it needs to go there. I don't think you're opening the contract. I don't think it's a side letter. I think it is policy and procedure. The chief has the right to write. These are my policies and procedures. And that's how he's going to run the department. Because please know, we're on all of your sides. We are. There's no sides here. It's how do we make this department run well and efficiently and reduce liability and manage costs. So I don't know if you would like us to take a formal vote, but what I heard from all of us is
I
that
think we need to, just because it's a formal process.
okay, that's, well, to say we're not, okay, but I guess let me finish my sentence.
Sorry.
That's okay. No, I do it to you too. What I was gonna say is what I've heard all of us say is we don't see an issue with little hangovers, 10 minutes to half an hour. Document it, manage it, keep it fair. But that we don't see it as a grievance. So what would the motion be to, we're not denying it, we're not affirming it, what do we do?
So it would be like, I move to invalidate the union's contract grievance relative to the swapping of partial shifts in accordance with Article 11, Section 4 of the collective bargaining agreement between the town and union.
Is there a second?
second.
Any further discussion? Any discussion from the floor? You have that opportunity right now. No? All right, all in favor of Wes's motion, please say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, But you did hear loud and clear, work it out. We didn't say, okay. Watch it again if you need to. Okay, I thought that was gonna be the easy one.
It's the easy one.
All right. Okay. Here's the next one. All right, Chris, if you'd like to step up and explain this one. In layman's terms, I will tell you guys, I read this paragraph 6 ways to Sunday out loud, 2 different people. So help us out.
Okay. Statement of grievance from the union on Friday, June 9th, 2023. The union did receive a letter from the town council stating that the chief is denying holiday pay, which is 4 hours at our officers' base rate. If an officer picks up an overtime shift on a holiday, stating that you're already getting overtime and you don't get the holiday pay even though you're working a shift on a holiday. Article 16 under holidays states employees required to work on a holiday shall receive in addition to the regular holiday pay, an amount equal to 1 1/2 times that regular rate of pay for all hours worked, and shall not be eligible to receive comp time, for such work. Employees shall be granted a minimum of 4 hours pay at such rate. The employer has the right to at least 4 hours of work from employees on that holiday. We sat down with the chief and town council and stated that the town of Boxborough, to my knowledge in the union, that they budget for 2 officers per shift. So 2 officers would receive that 4 hours holiday pay for the shift that they work. If an officer voluntarily takes an overtime shift on a holiday, they should receive that 4 hours of straight time holiday pay. This has been the case for holidays in the past. It is up to the officer to put the holiday pay on their timesheet. There has never been an issue in the past when it came to holidays. The holiday pay I'm referring to while working an overtime shift has been paid out by past chiefs and the present chief to employees. And this is not a new article in the contract. I know we recently had negotiations. This is something that's been in there for as long as I've been here for many years. So that's our grievance.
Okay, so walk me through. We're gonna use Christmas because it's my holiday. I'm scheduled to work Christmas Day. So if I work Christmas Day, I get holiday pay. What is holiday pay? How much?
So
1 1/2, 2 times? What's a holiday pay?
So if you're scheduled to work Christmas Day,
I'm required to be there.
yes, you get your 8 hours base pay plus 4 additional 4 hours base pay on top of that, which is holiday worked.
Now, am I allowed to take Christmas Day off another day this year, or that's it? I worked, because it says shall not be eligible to receive compensatory time. No, I'm teasing you. So that means I get 4 1/2 hours, but I can't take a day off later. You can't bank your holidays.
So
We
comp time is
do
different.
have, yeah, comp time is different than our regular holidays. You have the holiday, you can take the holiday off another time.
Yeah.
So
you
what's the
work
point?
for-
What's compensatory time
So
for
if
such
you
work?
work overtime, so
Yeah.
let's say you work 2 hours of overtime, you
Yeah.
get comp, so you get, and you decide not to take pay for that overtime work. So let's say I come in and do
Okay.
whatever. And then I take 2 hours and I say, actually, I'd like comp time. So that 2 hours of work, so effectively it goes into a bank, but it becomes 3 hours because it's time and a half. And so it's effectively, because the overtime rate is 1 1/2 times. So
Okay.
the comp time would just say like, okay, I did 2 hours of work and now I get 3 tomorrow. So that's
Okay.
comp time.
All right, thank you. Okay. So that's if I'm required. So I have little kids. I want the day off. The chief takes my shift. He's not required to be there, is he?
He would be there on, just say if it was another patrolman, or he would be there on overtime.
Okay. Not holiday,
So
but it is a holiday. So what you're saying is that if he works an overtime shift on Christmas Day, he's only getting his base pay, but because it's
I think
Christmas.
it's time and a half for overtime.
You
All
would
right,
get his
okay,
time
right,
and a
I'm
half
sorry,
plus the
sorry. So
4
time-
hours.
See, this is why I'm sorting it out. All right, so then, all right, so this, all right, that's, okay.
But the other part of this is that the union contract for overtime has different stipulations, so it effectively is based on their base pay in Article 12. So Article 12 sets out like if you're this rank, like the rate table. So like if you're a patrolman 1, patrolman 2, or whatever, and then steps, and
Right.
then
And then it's 1.5 times whatever your step is.
yeah, and so the contract references overtime as being defined by the pay rate in Article 12.
Okay, so I'm not worried about the dollar amount I mean, I understand steps, I understand patrolman ABC, all that good stuff. What I'm trying to say is, like, again, I'm just trying to parse this out in
To
pieces.
simplify it, I can, so
Let's do. Because that paragraph stinks.
you work Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Okay, then you don't have any family, whatever. I'm gonna work 3 to 11 overtime on Christmas Day. So
Okay.
Christmas Day, my 7 to 3 shift. I get my regular day's pay plus the 4 hours for working the holiday. Then I pick up my overtime shift, 3 to 11. You get your time and a half because it's time and a half here on overtime, plus additional 4 hours. For the holiday, if I work in the holiday.
So just a question.
So total 8 hours?
Correct, because you're working another 8-hour shift.
So you're looking for being paid so effectively you're looking for 16 hours of pay for working 8 hours.
No, you're working your 8 hours, your regular day,
Yeah,
and then you're working 3 to 11.
but so
which
on
is
the
another-
holiday
so
you
that's
get 4 hours.
So you're working 16 hours, but you're getting 8 additional hours of base pay. Because
Okay,
you get
so
4 hours for 7 to
16.
3, and
So
then
you're saying
for part of the
20
contract,
hours
and
you
then
get
you're
paid?
working another 8 hours, which is 3 to 11 overtime, and you get additional 4 hours for that.
So if we get this right, if we look at it from the base pay perspective and you work the 16 hours, so that's 2 shifts.
Mhm.
The holiday would stipulate that you get 4 extra hours at the end of your 8-hour shift, which is effectively, well, it's not time and a half because my guessing is
It's
the
just
reason why.
straight time, 4 hours
Yeah.
straight time.
Well, no, it
winds up
doesn't
time and a
necessarily equate to time and a half because if you, this is only for the 8-hour shift that they get the 4 hours, right? So this is defined as the first 8-hour shift. And then it goes to overtime, which would be time and a half, which is effectively the same thing. But if you, let's say you work 24 hours, you wouldn't get, so what effectively happens if we look at it from the single pay rate and we just, instead of doing the overtime, so like the 1.5 times that, and then plus 4 at 1 point is, and I'm guessing you're looking for the.
So
4
every
extra
8
hours.
hours you work, you get an additional 4 hours of base pay.
On holidays.
Correct.
And so are you looking for that at the overtime rate or the base rate?
Say that again, sir?
Are you looking for that at the overtime rate or the base rate?
It would be the base rate. It's always been the base rate.
So then I guess I'm not understanding the math here where the grievance would come from, because if we, let's say you have 8 hours, I work the first 8 hours, that's my shift. The holiday part stipulates
You get the additional
4 hours. So
Correct.
now let's say, now we're at 12, so 12 total. Now I work the extra 8.
Mhm.
And then you're saying I want to be paid at 8, but not at overtime, correct?
No, you're getting overtime for that 8 hours
Yeah,
you're
so,
extra you're
but-
working.
So now your 8 hours of overtime becomes 12 hours of regular time. So now we add the first 12 plus the 12, and now you're asking
No, no,
for,
no.
but
No.
overtime in the contract is at 1.5.
So you're getting overtime, you're 3 to 11.
Yeah.
You're
At
8
the
hours
1.5
overtime
rate.
With an additional, correct, because you're on you're working over 40 hours. It's your overtime rate. But you're getting the additional 4 hours by working that 8 additional hours.
So you're-
Just like the 8 additional hours that you worked on your regular day.
So you're looking to get paid 16 hours for the 8 hours for the second shift because it's overtime.
So it's a 16-hour day.
Well, no. So I'm
With-
saying the first shift was 12 hours.
Yeah.
So the first shift is 12 hours. So 1.5. So the
You
4
can help
hours.
Clarify, sure.
So, yeah.
And I'm over, you're absolutely right
About the 12 days in the bank, forget about that for a second. Those are put over here. Those are floating holidays. They can use them
Whenever they. want.
other days. So that part, that's why it says in addition to, that's what that first line. So let's forget about that. There's no disagreement here. You then work and it's your regular scheduled day. Christmas is on Tuesday this year and you're working a Tuesday.
Mhm.
You are not paid your straight time for those 8 hours. You're paid an overtime rate. You're paid a time and a half, the equivalent of getting an extra 4 hours. There's no difference between the two, right? You're working on the Christmas day. You're paid for an overtime rate. You're paid 4 extra hours. It doesn't matter if you say you're paid 12 hours at straight time or you're paid 8 hours at overtime.
And then if
So-
if I were scheduled for that Tuesday, then I could take Christmas another day.
Well, that's completely separate. There's no disagree. That's a completely separate issue. They get those floating holidays. Yes.
Okay.
So now you're working on Christmas, and for those 8 hours, you are paid an extra 4, or you could say you're still paid only 8, but you're paid your overtime rate. They're the same thing. I've actually, to make it look better on the payroll, now we do it. We have holiday worked. If you're working on that holiday, I show that because that's more in line with the contract. So you're actually still just paid for those 8 hours, but you're paid an overtime rate, which is the equivalent of 12 hours. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. Now the disagreement is when you now work an overtime shift, you are paid overtime. You are paid 8 hours at time and a half or 12 hours, whichever we want to say it. They are saying we want an additional 4 hours on top of that. So to Wes's point, they're actually getting the equivalent of 16 hours or 8 hours at double time. So that is where there's nothing in the contract that says this. Your town attorney has looked at it and there's nothing in the contract that allows for that. It was, again, one of these practices that went on, and the argument I hear, which is a valid argument. Well, who's going to want to work holidays? They're right. But it needs to be negotiated. It needs to be put in the contract. I can't just give them an extra 4 hours on top of their overtime rate because they're doing something that no one wants to do. They're coming in on a holiday. I thank them, but I can't give them that. It equated to one year we went back and we looked, it was 15 one year, 17 another, 20 another. It ended up being an average of about 16. It's about a $3,000 expenditure. So not a huge amount. If they brought this forward in negotiations, I might very well agree with them on it and want to give it to them. But there's no contractual language that allows them to get an overtime rate plus another 4 hours. It doesn't exist. And the only argument I've gotten is, again, that's the way we do it. And who's going to want to work a holiday? Those are not, that's why they have a system set in place that Mike already talked about. You give them a notice, a 30-day notice, you sit down with them. But I would be giving money that there's no contractual, and that's one reason I'm here, because people got money for a long time that they weren't entitled to. So I'm taking a real strong look at the contract, but there's nothing in there that allows them to get an additional 4 hours on top of the overtime rate. It doesn't exist.
Is there any language in the union contract that does clarify that?
So we read it as employees shall be guaranteed a minimum of 4 hours pay at such rate. So employee has the right to at least 4 hours work from holidays on that employees on that holiday. So even if an officer is off on holiday, let's say Christmas Day I have off, and there's a 3 to 11 shift open, forget that if someone else was already scheduled for that day. So the way the union looked at it is the town budgets for 2 officers per shift. So it's 2 on day shift, 2 on 3 to 11, 2 on 11 to 7. So if someone takes a holiday off, say 3 to 11, and I come in and take that overtime shift, there's no one getting that 4 hours holiday pay.
But wouldn't that
So
then
no.
cover the overtime that's forced in though?
I mean, they're just saying it's coming out of another budget and no one's getting that. Again, it goes back to there's nothing in there. I know there had been some times that this was done, but again, no contractual language to justify it. The 4 hour force, that's just if you're forced in, you have to be given 4 hours. That part doesn't apply.
He said that.
I'm so sorry.
Chris, could you repeat what you said? I just want to hear that again, make sure I understood
I'm
what you
not
said.
mocking. I'm
So
laughing
just a
at my ineptitude.
So Rajon, I just sent you an email with the Word document of effectively the hours put out in base. Are you able to?
I don't think it matters, Wes.
Okay.
You're drilling
That's
down
fine.
too deep in the details. I don't think we need to know the dollar amount.
No, so it's the hours. And so I guess I'm just trying to separate it out to show like what, I guess I'm trying, as I understand it, what they're looking for.
We could take down, I mean, we could take a real easy dot, like a $10 and go from there, like something we can all process if you want to do it that way. On an overtime on a holiday that they work, if they're paid $10 an hour for those 8 hours, they're actually going to be paid $15 an hour for those 8 hours because they're working on that holiday. What we're saying is now you're working overtime on that holiday. They're still paid overtime rate, $15. What they're saying is they want to be paid another $5, which equates to 4 hours. If you were doing hours, I'm doing dollars. So they're in reality getting paid double time.
Okay, but I actually think that, okay, here, let me read it. Employees required, see, I think we're missing a comma. Employees required to work on a holiday shall receive, in addition to their regular pay, an amount equal to 1.5 times their regular rate of pay for all hours worked. So I actually see that as their base pay plus 1.5 times their base pay. That's how I'm reading that.
Yeah, that's how I'm reading it too.
So if I'm supposed to work Christmas, I have a 2-year-old, I don't want to, but I'm like, gee, I can make my regular base pay plus 1.5 times 8 hours.
You're talking about overtime shifts. That's not required to.
No, but what I'm saying is like, it looks like perhaps the guys that were already scheduled to work on a holiday might not have been getting what they were supposed to get.
No, so so effectively what this is saying is the
If they
holiday,
work
shall
on
be- in
base pay
addition to
before.
their regular pay,
Right?
the regular holiday pay, comma, an
In
amount.
addition
No,
to their holiday pay,
That's the thing over here.
comma,
That's
an
the
amount equal to
floating
1.5
holidays
times
that
their
we're
regular
always
pay.
disagreeing.
No, but what I'm saying is the way I read it, and Priya is agreeing with me, this is a horrible sentence. Not in addition to their regular holiday pay, they're actually supposed to get 8 hours at time and a half.
Yeah, that's how I'm reading.
So
I read it
that's
as
a
the,
huge incentive to work Easter or
So-
whatever holiday. Juneteenth.
typically when you have a comma after that, then that would say that it's a clarification, like saying, hey, Jude, or like when you write something like saying, the
There are-
town, Michael Johns, comma, the town administrator,
Right.
comma. And so that would then be defining that.
Kristen, the
There
regular
are two
holiday
comments.
pay, the regular.
So I was reading
holiday
that,
pay
saying that the
is
holiday
what
pay,
goes
the
into the
definition
bank.
of that is 1.5.
That's the regular holiday
Or
pay.
equal to 1.5.
The comma there, in addition to the regular holiday pay, that's the 12 days they get in the bank every July for the whole year. That has nothing to do, that's just over here. They
Okay, I'm
get
putting
those
it there.
12 days.
I know.
That's where that goes.
But if you read the way the commas are, and again, I hear you, Michael, town administrator, comma, Michael Johns, comma, blah, blah, blah. I actually don't think it applies. I think, I don't know, Dave, what are your thoughts? You read the sentence. It's-
You know,
You gotta fix this.
I'm still trying to figure out the notion of 4 hours. Like, are we talking about just somebody working an 8-hour shift on a holiday? Is that what we're talking about here? Or are we talking about when we throw in overtime?
The grievance is about the grievance, and let's get back to the grievance. The grievance is about overtime. When they work overtime, they are paid at a time and a half rate. Right? They want an additional 4 hours for working an overtime shift on a holiday.
I understand what the
Yes.
grievance is, but I'm still trying to understand the article they brought forward, because we can't understand the grievance till we understand what the article says.
Which section are you? In addition to the regular in addition to the regular holiday pay is the 12 days you get put in the bank. That has nothing to do. There's no disagreement on that.
Okay.
That's saying in addition to these 12 days, we're going to let you float.
Okay.
You get paid time and a half for working that holiday, which they do.
Okay, I'm with you now. All right, okay. So in other words, if I'm required to be there, that is not my holiday. But to make it more palatable, so I guess what I don't understand is the last sentence. Employees shall be guaranteed a minimum of 4 hours pay at such rate.
Yes.
The employer has the right to at least 4 hours from them, but they're actually working 8 hours. So where does 4 come
But
from?
if you're required, so effectively he says, if I'm forcing you in or requiring you to work.
It's like an order in. If I had to
That's
order
the-
you in on a holiday.
The half, the time and a half.
And that's how they get their
over
overtime.
4 hours, right?
Okay.
Like on top of that.
Okay, thank you. Now I get it. Do you get it?
I'm getting there. So beyond the 8 hours, that's the overtime during a holiday. And you would get,
Additional.
you would get
Base rate.
you would not get holiday, you would get straight pay, 4 hours.
Additional 4 hours straight pay.
But I think the chief is also saying that a comp or overtime
Work
is
8, you get additional 4.
Not
You work another
required.
8, you get another additional 4, just like the first 8 that you work.
Which is the equivalent of the time and a half, when you get the additional 4.
No, they're already paid at the overtime rate of a time and a half. They're saying on top of that and another 4. They're already paid at that overtime rate for the overtime hours.
Yeah.
They're saying an additional 4. You could also look at the contract where it says employees required to work. An overtime shift is not required to work. So this section is, they're not required to work overtime. Overtime's not required. If it's required, that's a force in, we go to a whole separate section. But we're simply, yes, Dave, they are getting their overtime rate when they work overtime at time and a half. They're advocating for an additional 4 hours on top of the overtime rate, which there's no language in here to support that. And your town attorney is on board with this one and the last. I mean, we are going against what also the town attorney who's looked at this has said.
So.
And I'll give it to them in the next contract. I mean, I'm not saying they don't deserve it.
Sure. Okay, so required is the word you're looking at. Overtime is not required. Now, what's the rule? So if you get ordered in, that's a requirement.
separate, completely
I'm not talking about it, I'm just
Yeah,
trying
no, there's
to,
a
That would
separate,
be required.
ordered in would be required.
it would be within 24 hours. There's a whole, that's a completely
But
separate.
that would trigger the required. And so I guess per Kristen's thing, that would,
According to, I've had this discussion with town attorney. He says it doesn't. I brought that up about the required. That's just an overtime piece. He doesn't even think that portion, I kind of brought that up, well, you're not required to work overtime, but no, the overtime rate is the overtime rate. You're paid overtime when you work overtime. There's nothing to say you're given an extra 4 hours on that overtime. Only your regular shift, which they are getting and they will continue to get. If it was in here, again, the only argument has been made has been, this is the way it is and who would work a holiday without it?
Can I ask a clarifying question? I'm wondering where in the language the extra 4 hours are coming from. That's what I'm struggling with.
For the overtime or for the regular?
Or in the section about holiday pay, where are we getting adding an extra 4 hours at regular pay? I just don't see the language in there. So if somebody could point me to it, that's what I've been looking for.
It's not, Mike. It says the 1.5 rate. And that was why I said I changed it on the payroll. It was just going in as 4 hours to look more specific with the contract. It comes out to the same amount of money. I would now paying that a 1.5 rate for those 8 hours. So now if it's a holiday week, instead of having 80 hours at the normal rate plus 4 hours at holiday, the way I've now done it on the payroll, 72 at the regular and 8 at an overtime rate. The money comes out to the same, but doing it that way is much more in line with the contract. And we made that change a few months back. And we also checked with the pension board to make sure it was still pensionable. We have a letter from them that doing it that way would be, because one person brought that up and I did look into that and got that individual the letter.
I guess I'm not understanding in the grievance, it says, under a remedial action sought, in the middle sentence says to receive 4 hours of straight time pay or straight pay. I just don't see, I see the language in the grievance. I just don't see the language in the contract. And if I'm missing
It
something,
doesn't exist.
yeah, if I'm missing something, help me out because I just can't find it.
So when we put in, when you work a holiday, Mike, on our payroll system, you'd circle or you'd fill in your timesheet for that you worked in your 8-hour shift. And below that, there's a holiday worked and there's a 4 hours. You would circle that as well. So we worked the holiday. So our grievance was that those 4 hours that you would circle that you worked the holiday is budgeted for 6 total people throughout the day, because there's 3 shifts, 2 people each shift. So
That's not what I'm not following is where in the contract language is an extra 4 hours at straight time come from? Because I go by the contract. I'm not arguing with you.
Yep.
I just want to be pointed in the direction of where does it come from in the contract? Because I mean, we could put anything into a form or into a software, but it has to be in the contract here for me to understand it.
maybe the suggestion is instead of saying holiday +4, you just have a holiday checkbox, then it's at the holiday rate. Because effectively, if I'm understanding it correctly, it's the same.
I mean, there is no holiday rate.
Well, there is per the contract. It literally says in your grievance.
The employer has the right to at least 4 hours of work from the.
No,
employer on
so it
that
says
holiday.
employees required to work a holiday shift shall receive an amount equal to 1.5 times the regular rate of pay.
And I changed it on the payroll. We did change it on the payroll to make it more in line with what the contract reads.
Yeah.
I mean, changing the form, that may be something I get to. There's a lot of changes. I'm trying my best on the structural stuff,
Yeah.
the contract stuff, the budgetary stuff, to get it more in line with the way it should be running.
No, I guess my suggestion was just mostly to kind of try and bring it in, because my perception of this is that when they fill out their time cards, they're circling the +4, which gives them and so kind of how you said that you created a new billing code for holiday work, which is effectively time and a half, which is according to this contract. But if the time card sheets that they're filling out, they put 8 and then the holiday +4, which was effectively, if you're just putting in, like the past payrolls would be the extra 4 hours, then effectively, I guess my understanding would then be that it's a misconception that they get the holiday rate +4, whereas the holiday rate pay code is actually what the contract has. And that because the way we changed the payroll code is why this misunderstanding came to be.
Well, the misunderstanding came to be is it wasn't in the contract, and I stopped it right away in the first holiday or two. And I had some pushback. How come I'm not?
You didn't stop it
Getting
right away.
this.
It was paid to multiple employees
It was paid, and it actually had to be
by
paid.
you.
It had to be paid even until the 30-day, because you have to give a 30-day window before you make that change, which we did. So it stopped once. It was brought up relatively quick, and it was eventually stopped after they were given that letter that I then have to give them 30 days if it's going to be changed. Again, it's not in here. I can't just give it to them because they're doing a good job. There's no contractual benefit that's giving money for something that was not bargained for. That is a real problem if we get into that. It's not that they don't deserve it or shouldn't get it, but they shouldn't get it contractually. It doesn't mean they don't deserve it. Again, an issue for negotiations.
So can I just want to take this back again. So if you work an 8-hour shift on a holiday, you're essentially getting paid for 20 hours, right? Why am I, well, how?
Sorry, Dave, can you run that by us again?
Overtime or straight time?
Well, okay, all right. So and so if you just do straight time, you're getting paid for 20 hours.
12 hours.
No.
Well,
Forget
you
the
get- you
other
get the
8.
holiday, you're getting paid on that holiday plus 12 more.
Regular 8-hour shift, you're getting paid at 12. So that's in essence what
He's talking about if you add in the thing in addition to the bank, then you're correct. If
Yeah.
you say these 8 hours over here but remember, they deserve those. Now they're floating holidays. Normal people would have the day off. So you're right in the sense it's 20. You're getting paid because you got 8 in the bank plus 8 plus the 4, the 12. So you're right to say 20, but remember they deserve 11 holidays a year, 12 holidays a year. So
So they're cashing in the holiday basically by, right?
well, at another, but so does a normal person who gets the day off. They are cashing it in or taking another day off, maybe a month later,
Yeah, okay.
maybe 2 months. So yes, they are getting 20 in aggregate, but we
Okay.
kind of put 8 of those aside.
Okay, so then take me to the next level then. What's, beyond that, there's an additional 4 hours that you want to add
So
on?
now they're saying, okay, now I work in overtime. So addition to the 20, which is really 12 plus the 8 we just discussed, they're saying now I work overtime. I'm saying you get overtime rate for those 8 hours. They're saying I get overtime rate plus another 4 hours of straight time, which is the equivalent of just giving those 8 hours of not overtime rate, but double time rate. It comes out to be the same. They want 4 more straight time hours in addition to the
This
overtime
is if
rate.
you're working a second shift.
Yes.
Correct.
So you're
Second
working
8-hour
16 hours during a holiday.
Yes. So they would be up to
Correct.
30. At that point, they would be up to 32 in the way you're adding it up.
Okay.
They're saying they should be at 36.
Okay.
Priya, do you have anything to add? We've all done a lot of talking.
No, I mean, this one, I don't know if it's there in the contract. This is something that should be in the contract in my mind, like you.
Yeah.
Because this is a holiday. This is gonna keep coming.
Right.
This is not something that is gonna be incidental. So I don't know like what exactly. Like, if it has been honored all along, then maybe it needs to be clarified moving forward. Needs to be in the contract.
So Wes, you're the only guy here, I think, who was around when this contract was put together.
Yeah.
So employees shall be guaranteed a minimum of 4 hours pay at such rate. What were you thinking?
So effectively, that's for like the order in. So if you have like, if you order somebody in for like if we say he needs to order somebody in for 2 hours because
They
we
get
have
paid
0
before.
people
Right.
there, like you say it's a one-man shift. And then he's like, well, I'm going home. And the next person's like, well, I can't be there for 2 hours because I'm snowed in, let's say.
So
And then he says, okay, you're forced, the person who was there says you're forced in. And so he's getting that time. But that's a minimum of 4 hours, kind of like the details. So like if you work extra time. And so that was how that was.
And Dave, the contract, this contract is not I mean, even though it was done a year ago, remember, a lot of it's just language that gets built upon. So it's not this union or this, or even maybe my predecessor. This language could be 20, 30 years old, that things get added to a little bit. So it may have been in here for a while. Again, we saw looking back that some people were, they were getting this extra 4 hours that there's no contractual language to give them. And I'm obligated to stop that. It's not that I want to, but I am obligated to. That is you're giving people money that is not bargained for.
So you guys you're interpreting employees shall be guaranteed a minimum of 4 hours pay at such rate, meaning an additional 4 hours beyond the time and a half. Is that right?
That's what they're.
And according to your town attorney, that is not, and anybody looking at it, that's for an order, and that has nothing to do with this section. That's nothing to do with overtime. That's like, you have to be given 4 hours if you come in on a holiday. Nothing to do with this grievance, this issue, that sentence.
But like the chief just said, this language has been going on for, I know, as long as I've been here, probably 20 or so years, and it's been paid this way.
That language doesn't even make sense.
Okay.
Because the sentence, it says employees shall be guaranteed a minimum of 4 hours at such rate. Well, at such rate, the sentence before that is talking about the time and a half. So it wouldn't even apply. Like, if you look at those two sentences, one after the other, one's talking about the time and a half, the holiday. The very next sentence says shall be guaranteed a minimum of 4 hours pay at such rate. So the way you're interpreting it, it would be, I don't agree with the way you're interpreting it, but if I did, I'd say, well, then you should be getting another 4 hours at time and a half. But you're saying 4 hours at straight time. That's where I'm struggling with. Where did 4 hours at straight? There's nothing in here anywhere that says 4 hours at straight time.
I think it was a benefit to get people to work when it was hard to work on a holiday.
This is all,
And
this,
people look the other way and that sort of thing. And I
this
can't do
language
that.
has been in here for about 20 years now. So it's never been an issue in the past.
Right.
Before everyone was
The town
here.
council and the union and
They all agreed to
they
that.
all looked over it before, and it's never been an issue.
But they may not have known, and the town attorney did not know that this was going on. If it's being done and they're looking at this and doing something that's not in there, well, isn't that incumbent to stop that if they shouldn't be getting it? And that's why you give them a 30-day notice, and there's guidelines on how to stop that. If someone was getting a completely different pay rate for years and years and years and years, you don't continue to give the pay rate. You make a notice that you're going to stop that, and you change the practice. Now, it's not in the language. The town attorney didn't know it was going on. So of course we have to stop it.
Okay. Any further? Now, I do feel like we're just doing this again.
Language, chief, if this one says voluntarily taking overtime shift. If they had to do it, would that change?
Well, it would depend if it was according to the contract. is their order in within 24 hours or not within 24 hours? A separate issue. I mean, we're simply looking at the overtime, but there is a provision in their contract. If they get ordered in within 24 hours, they get paid double time as opposed to time and a half for that overtime shift.
Yeah, because that seems to me like it would go in the contract under the overtime section for special overtime for holidays, where it would be
Yeah,
2x rather than the 1.5 that is currently defined at right
Yeah.
now.
Okay. So Mike, anything else you want to add? Okay, so based on all the notes that I've taken, and I think I have a grasp on this, it's the word required. Overtime isn't required, it's optional. Therefore, this doesn't apply to that. However, we've got this past practice that's been happening for years. To me, I'm echoing Priya and Wes, and I think you said it too, Dave. Okay, this does need to be negotiated and put back to the contract. You gave them 30 days notice. For all of those listening, nobody is going to owe the town any money for the past 20 years' mistakes. Let's not go there. But it does appear to me that this would be a reason you might either want to reopen your contract, negotiate, or put a pin in it for 2 years. That's just one person's opinion sitting here, but unfortunately, it's the word required. That means it doesn't apply to overtime. That's just how I'm seeing it. I see some nodding. Thoughts? Dave's still reading. He's reading it again.
So the required part of it, I mean, is,
It's required to be filled. A police officer is required to be on the road on Christmas Day. I get that. But what it comes back to is who is required. And that was what I was grappling. We're always required to have officers on the road, whether it's a holiday or not. But does required refer to that, or does required refer to whose shift it is?
Yeah, again,
It's a
I would just,
hard sentence.
I brought up the required again. The town attorney didn't look at that because he said this is an overtime issue. They're paid at the overtime rate. There is no other language anywhere, like Mike said, that talks about getting an additional 4 hours. So
Okay.
so if somebody's required to work, wasn't there some additional?
well,
bonus
that is,
thing?
yes, if they are, that's a separate, completely separate issue. It depends if it's within 24 hours or not, what their rate of pay would be.
Well,
So-
which is, and remember, the way I read it was like, geez, you guys should be getting double time and a half. Nobody agreed with that. If you
But,
were
but
required
they,
to
they
be
are because they're getting those days in the bank.
Right.
So
okay.
they are
Yeah,
in a
we'll get
way.
this later. Okay, all right. Okay, so I think it's time to entertain a motion. I think we've gone in circles. I think the
Sure.
board has a handle on it.
I'll move to deny the union's contract grievance relative to holiday pay in accordance with Article 16 of the collective. What do you say? Hang on.
You're not ready for a motion?
Oh,
I'm not ready.
Okay, then.
I want to go through this. I don't need to, I just want to sit down with the contract because really,
Okay,
this is our interpretation of the contract, right? And it's like, and I'm not,
we have 30 days to make a determination.
yeah, so that,
So you would prefer that we bring this back?
I would prefer I want to make sure that there's something in here because of the, I mean, if the statement was that, if they were, employees, instead of required to work employees working on a holiday shall receive blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's all fine. But then it's the term is they're required, and then employees shall be guaranteed a minimum of 4 hours at such pay. That's just a little, it's a little convoluted. So, all right, so Chief, help me go into the next section. If this is forced, when we say required, if it's forced, do they get additional pay?
Okay, again, if they're forced in on an overtime, okay, if they're forced in, they would get regular time and a half. If it's done within less than 24 hours, they are paid double time. That's in here under the overtime contractual obligation. So we pay somebody double time if someone calls out sick and there's only one person working and you have to fill it within an hour, you get paid double time. If it's within 24 hours, before 24 hours, you're paid time and a half. A regular overtime rate on your order in.
so I guess maybe a question or a comment just to help Dave. So effectively, if I'm understanding this correctly, when you go to the payroll codes for an officer who's on the shift for holidays, which is time and a half, so they get their 8 hours, which goes in the bank for a floating holiday, and then their time and a half. The language that they're saying straight pay and then parentheses holiday pay, which is kind of a little bit misleading because what their holiday pay is time and a half. And so then effectively what is happening is when you have the officer working their shift, like the 7 to 11, if they then work or 3 to 7 or 7 to 3, and then they work the 3 to 11, that 3 to 11 shift would go in the payroll code as overtime, not holiday, correct?
It would go in as overtime.
Yeah. So that
The
would be
regular shift
overtime.
would go in as holiday worked
Yeah,
at a 1.5 rate,
yeah,
and their overtime shift would go in at an overtime rate.
yeah. And so then effectively, then that overtime would be defined or classified by the overtime rate in the contract. And since there's no special holiday overtime rate,
Exactly. And that's how the town attorney
you know,
had said, look at it that way. Don't even get this required, not required. That's for holidays. He said, look at it on overtime. There's no overtime holiday rate. They get paid overtime.
and so the other part of this is where they're guaranteed a minimum of 4 hours and they have the right to expect at least 4 hours. It's kind of like the Massachusetts, when you call someone to work, like if you're working retail, you have to pay them for 3 hours minimum, even if you say, I just need you for an hour to come in. And so I guess that's how I interpreted that section of it that you were questioning.
With 4 hours.
Yeah, but
Right,
instead
right.
be 4 hours.
Okay, sure. No, okay, but,
Yes, if someone's required to come in and work, they have to at least get 4 hours, which they do anytime.
okay, but if the person is forced, has come in, worked on that holiday, is forced to work that second shift, they get time and a half.
Yes.
Double time.
No, it
No, no,
depends
it's not.
when.
Or so if they're
It depends
Yeah.
when the force occurred. Did it occur within 24
Yeah.
hours? Or did it occur before 24 hours? So if
Yeah.
you're forced in, you got to be here in an hour, you're paid double time. If you're saying you're getting forced in on Friday and it's Monday, it's paid at time and a half. A regular overtime. There is a provision where you can be forced into work.
And that's covered in a separate section of the contract, which is overtime.
Because
This
that's
is
a
the
payroll
holiday
code of
section.
forced in,
But what they're talking about is working that second shift on the same day. Not,
but it's not under the holiday pay code. It would be under overtime.
It's
pay
just an
code.
overtime. It's just an overtime that they're compensated for at an overtime rate. And there's nothing in here that says they get an extra 4 hours in addition to that.
yeah, what is it?
We don't have to vote this tonight. We had 30 days to respond. So we can pick this up at our next meeting. Everyone can have time to read the contract, make sure their questions are answered, and then we can make a determination. Is our next meeting within 30 days?
Well, so I think that you would want to make sure that at some point that you get mutual agreement between the town and the union. If your next meeting is going to be the 28th, because they sent you this grievance before tonight. So you had 30 days from then, I believe, not from tonight, if I understand.
I don't have a calendar.
Yeah.
I don't check calendar. Because we typically meet the second fourth Friday, Monday.
It was dated the 27th.
I know that the union and the chief, we can agree to mutually extend timelines. So you may want to, I'm sure the town can do that. I'm not certain, but you could ask the union if they would extend a timeline to 40 days
Yeah.
to go to the next meeting or something like that.
Okay.
So that's something that I could take up with the union offline. And then if that wasn't agreeable, then we'd make sure we'd have a meeting in 2 weeks. But otherwise, if the town and the union can mutually agree to go to 40 days or till the 28th, then we could go till then. But that, I should probably have the conversation with the union on that and see if they're agreeable or not. It's up to them.
Can they answer now, or we have to have an offline conversation? Do you have to go back and get a vote of everybody? Or can you speak for the union?
I think, yeah, we'll get a vote of the union. We can table it for now.
Okay. Let us wrap our head around this. It is a very complicated paragraph. Okay.
Kristen,
Yes.
before you move on, can I just ask for full transparency that next time the grievances would be in the packet? Because like I had no idea what the grievances were for tonight. And Owen might have liked to have seen them because he was the union guy for like, president of his union for like 15 years. And he might have made a phone call to a select board member if he had concern about it. And my other thing, Joe Fair has been negotiating these contracts for 20 years. So shame on him that he let these things slip. We need new town council. I've said it at FinCom. I'm saying it again. We need new town council.
Regarding putting the grievance in the packet, I'm not. Is that something we can do? And we made a point of making sure that grievances were going to be discussed. Typically, the public is not allowed to speak, but because the FinCom did get involved tangentially. That's fine, but
I should have made sure that the grievances were in the packet. We had so much on this meeting and so many things in the packet. I let that slip, and I'll make sure that if this should happen in the future, that we'll make sure it's in the packet.
okay, because I also think that, especially because we're tabling it, it does give the public time. We'll get it out there. We'll put it out there. Have time to consider it, read it, look at it, and give input. Although, like I said, grievances don't get public input. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so let's make a motion to take our 30 days
And ask the union for extension.
and to ask the union for an
So I
extension.
guess I'll move to table this grievance and ask the union for an extension until our next scheduled meeting.
Regularly scheduled meeting.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Just for clarification, I think it might be helpful to clarify if the chief could prepare how the payroll codes go in, as well as what, if you guys could kind of explain using the contract language, what you are expecting, because I think Mike brought up an important point where your grievance didn't necessarily line up with the contract language. And so it really helped, at least me, to understand what you're looking for, because you speak of the straight pay plus 4 hours, but the contract stipulates 1.5% or 1.5 times the rate. And so that's, I guess, it helped me understand or align the two, because I think we're having two different conversations in a way.
Yeah, I kind of take this as this is different from the last grievance. I mean, the last grievance I felt was it didn't fit the contract. This one is really about interpreting the contract. And so having the additional information would help to make that decision, I think. So I agree with that.
Were you asking the chief to provide that or the union to provide it?
Well, so I was asking the chief to kind of clarify from his perspective of when the payroll codes go in, and then how those payroll or what section of the contract would govern those, because it sounds like he's had a lot of conversations with town council who has that mindset, and that's his current understanding. And so to kind of help explain it in terms of a scheduling, either a diagram or just a quick Excel sheet where you just say like,
There's
7.
numerous pay codes and you see them.
Yeah, I understand, but I guess when we're just talking about it, we don't have the wording in front of us to kind of say, okay, because some people can listen, some people read it, and some people need to can do both.
Print out every pay code, forcing, straight time, holiday time.
Well, I guess what would be most helpful is in this situation. So I guess if we're taking the example of I work the 7 to 3 and then I take an overtime shift of 3 to 11, what pay codes would go in? And then from those pay codes, what section of the contract would cover it and what the rate is for that and how that's paid out or handled. Right? Does that make sense? So from your perspective, you would say the 7 to, or I would expect that this, or my current understanding is the 7 to 3 would be holiday pay. And then the rate would be 1.5 times their base rate, which was defined in Article 12. And then you have the holiday. So then the next, if they take the shift, the overtime shift, from 3 to 11, that would get paid out at the holiday pay code, and that rate is defined in the overtime, which is based on 1.5 times their rate negotiate, or which is in Article 12 as well. And so I guess that's what I was looking for in kind of just a quick summarization, because sometimes just seeing either a chart, like a layout of it, or what it looks like is a lot easier than just saying like the words, I guess, because I'm a visual person. So I apologize.
Apologize. No, I mean, to be honest, something like that would probably help me parse it all out too. I do better when I can look at something.
And if you were gonna do that, then probably do the both case scenarios too. If you're forced in, what forced in means within 24 hours, beyond 24 hours, whatever.
Enforcement is not with this, anything to do with that.
I know, but
There's numerous pay codes, vacation, tons of things.
But we don't want all of them, just the ones that apply to this situation, because you will bury me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think what Wes is asking is just the pay codes that apply to this grievance. No?
Mike, do you understand, I guess, what I'm asking for? And maybe you can work with the chief to kind of,
I think he understands.
okay.
And I understand.
Yeah.
This only applies to overtime.
Yeah.
Holiday.
Okay.
And then potentially forced in as well, because that's in the language that was in the bracket. So that's, I guess, why Priya was asking for it, because there's the language about being forced in.
I can get you the force in again now. Respective to this grievance, but there's force in vote as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any further comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion on the table, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, so let us know. We will call another meeting to discuss this if you don't want to give us till the 28th. So just let us know. All righty, while you're all here, I would like to go right to the SPCP program, the Strengthening Police and Community Partnerships Program. So that was all in the packet. If anybody wants to, and we had the presentation from the gentleman that came in. I've been thinking a lot about it, and I guess I'm going to ask a question of both parties. We'll start with the chief and then we'll talk to the patrolman or the union. Do you believe that is a program that applies to Boxborough's challenges at this moment? Like, do you believe that it's a program that will improve community relationships with the department?
Well, 100%. I wouldn't have brought
Oh, good idea. Thank you.
Oh, 100%. I wouldn't have,
Take it out.
I wouldn't have brought it forward. Otherwise, it's been used in large cities. It's been used in small towns, same size as Boxborough. It's been used in Williamstown. Not too far.
Williamstown use it for?
To
Well, no, because I guess
have
I'm
trust
wrestling with it.
to improve trust with the police and the community. It's a free program from the Department of Justice, but more so, I think it's also going to show all the good things the department is doing right and highlight those things and where improvements can be made. We know there's been some contractual issues in the past. We talked about some here today. That puts, in some people's mind, have hesitancy about how transparent and how accountable is the police department. Now, like I've said, I've seen only positive work from them, but I did see, a chain of command that wasn't always utilized, a structure that could be improved. And let me tell you, and it's not me, it's not you, it's the members of the department that have made this very quickly a very, very well-respected department, not just in Middlesex County, but throughout the state. I met with the DA just last Monday. I mean, nothing but compliments about the direction the department is going in. We're having a meeting tomorrow with restoring the restorative justice program that got cut a couple of years ago. We've already restored the domestic violence program. Now we're paying, they still actually were offering it to us, even though we weren't paying for it. We're restoring those programs. We're building better bridges with the community. And I'm not saying they're awful by any stretch, but if we can get everybody on board, even people who are a little hesitant of the police, and let them have a forum not on social media, but a forum where they can express their concerns and what can be done better, then it's a home run, in my opinion. I think that there is a segment of the community who the police can do no wrong, and there's a segment of the community that the police are always wrong. We know that. As a whole, I think it's a great department. I think they do a great job, and I'm proud to be here leading them. But can we make it better? Of course we can. And a lot of it is the structural things that we've already are improving, the contractual things, actually implementing things that are in the contract, and getting a better, chain of command, the things that we've worked on over the past year, and continue that. It is a very well-respected department. It's getting more and more well-respected every single day. We just got a letter today from a chief to next town over, complimenting the great work that the officers did yesterday with the incident at the airport. Over
Tell us about that really.
in Stowe.
Please say that in announcements. Thank you guys for your service.
Well, they did a great job, Mike. I think I sent you the letter. If you could forward possibly to the select board from the chief over in Stowe, the great work they did. So again, a department is good, but if we can get it better and we can open up more lines of communication and let people talk about how it can be improved. We have 2 professionals who came here 2 weeks ago from the DOJ willing to work on that. So I am all in favor of it. I would hope the department would be all in favor of it as well, because I think a lot of it will highlight the good work that they already do. And I think we can all agree that every organization can always make improvements.
Okay. What do you guys think of the program?
So to us, I happened to be working the day the 2 gentlemen came in. I could speak for the rest of the department where we didn't even know anything about it. The guys came in, I met them in dispatch. They were talking about how they did these programs in like bigger cities, Flint, Michigan, bigger places than Boxborough. I'm sure they had to mend more of communities, in those areas. I think I can speak for the rest of the union that we are, all 4 programs to make the community better. From what the chief said, everyone in this department does an outstanding job. I think Mike and Rajan can attest to that. I know there's been a couple emails to them that's come to our department as well from the chief and from other people in town saying how, events that happened in the past that, this officer did such a great job. Or I spoke with this officer, he gave my child the time of day. He made his day. It was, graduation or birthday or, lemonade stand, some that they went out of their way, or some we just didn't even go out of. We do every day. This limited, I know about this program. Like I said, we weren't really given a heads up on it or anything, till those gentlemen came in the other day and did a presentation. I don't know if it's what Boxborough needs. I can't speak for the community. I don't know, but that's just our thoughts on it.
Okay. Only because I've been thinking a lot about it after the presentation. I agree with you. They do a great job. I was very proud to see the news coverage that you responded to a fallen plane in Stowe. You guys were there first. The fire department was there. You did an amazing job. People's lives were saved. Thank you. That's very proud to see that. When I look at the DOJ program though, I'm concerned that we're wasting their time and resources, because when I look at it, I'm like, okay, to my knowledge, we don't have enough of a problem to warrant their time and energy. Because it seemed like it was more, it was more about very big issues. We have more internal issues, the way I see it. We have more internal issues in the department that we have to mend, bridges. We've had a couple of years of hell for the town and for the department. And I'm not sure that program is going to mend that. And I would be sad for them to use those resources.
I will tell you that they certainly did their research, and that was a question that I had for them. They did their research and they absolutely thought this would be a good place where their resources could be utilized. So that was something that came in. Some are bigger, but some are same size as Foxborough.
Okay.
I think it's a good program.
Okay.
However, it's you're here discussing it tonight. Thought they did a good job explaining it.
So let's open it up. We're just gonna, how I feel about this. We'll zing right down. Priya, what are your thoughts on the program?
I think, I know when they explained about the program, the situations and the issues and the problems were different, what they were handling. Having said that, but if it is going to improve communication between the community and the police and within the police department, is that an option? Is that a possibility within Will they help with?
Well, I think we want to highlight the good work that they do as well. Or maybe people who are a little skeptical. You said there's been through hell the last couple of years and there has been some issues here. So to get everybody on board, even the people who are not so in line with some of the things that maybe have occurred. So yes, do I want them involved and to highlight the positive? 100%.
But like within the department as well, like to improve communication, to improve like overall efficiency,
I think their main goal is to get community input
okay.
and how to mend fences
With the-
and look for and provide recommendations to the department of things that we should be doing, not just next week, next month, but maybe a
Yeah,
long-term
the long
plan,
term,
3 to 5 years out, longer term.
But like you can't really help the community unless you guys are all singing in one tune.
Yeah. And I think
Right.
there's been tremendous, like I said, we are becoming a very well-respected department around the state. Just in speaking with the district attorney last week, a week doesn't go by that I don't get a compliment about the department. It's not, like I said, it's no offense. It's not you guys. It's not me. It's them. It's the members of the department who do a good job, and they're a highly respected group. And I think we want to keep that going in the right direction.
I would say, I think like this would be a question that I would raise to them, because to me, I think it'll be important for like more cohesiveness within the department, as well as how they are communicating with the community. If they are going to be able to help in that regard, I will be all for it. Even though again, the timing is also important, like when we kind of implement this. So they need to like kind of guide us in terms of do we do it right away? Or do we have to like make sure that certain things are in place before they can start with this? So those are things that we might have to broach with them to see what they have to say.
Okay. Wes, what do you think?
I guess when I was listening to the presentation, what I got more from it was that it's more of a framework to come into. And one of the bullet points on the slides was when there's a new change in leadership, in which we have both the town administrator as well as the police chief. And the other part of this is, right, the whole framework, the end result is creating a method or a means for a advisory group to the chief and effectively to the department to create this group of people who may have otherwise not come forward or might not have participated, to provide feedback or input or bounce ideas off of for use of the police chief. And so not necessarily like this is not necessarily our thing, but the chief is, I view it as the chief asking us to support a program to help him create a framework for feedback and input from the community. And that's really how I saw it, more so than the incident response type of thing.
Maybe that I was focusing too much on that. All right, that both the input, good input from both of you. Okay.
But so I guess that's why I supported it. Just because I also think with their means of trying to attract more people than may have already been doing this, because please don't take offense. Like if Coffee with the Cop got everybody to the table, I don't think we would need these programs like this, but it doesn't. And we are not hearing the other voices that a facilitated discussion might bring to the table, where it's more of a safe environment than just a, hey, come meet us.
Dave, what do you think?
Overall, when I saw the presentation, I liked it. I like the idea of having the dialogue with the community. I mean, this is a way to do it, right? I mean, instead of, we're going to send out a survey Survey Monkey and ask people, what do you think of the police? But I mean, this kind of forces, people to kind of participate. But what I want to understand is, does the rank and file participate in this, or is this just, the chief and the lieutenant kind of like getting that feedback? I mean, are you with these guys, these two guys here, sit down as part of those working meetings with the groups, the focus groups, and participate in those as well?
They will absolutely be invited.
They will absolutely.
I
Okay.
want them there.
Yeah.
Again, is it going to be forced on them? No, it's not I can't get everybody there, but would I like them to participate? Absolutely. I would, of course, be the hope that it's dialogue, the community,
Yeah.
the officers, and absolutely, I want them as employees, valued employees of the town. Some residents of the town, maybe not anymore, but I know not all of them live in town, but they're certainly valued employees of the community. So of course I want their input as well, and their input will be valued, as will the community's input.
Okay, all right, good. I mean, that's, so they will participate in there
They'll be
if they
invited.
choose to, if that's something that they.
There will be certain individual,
yeah.
I mean, all at one time or another will be asked to provide input, to participate in some form or another. Again, whether I can, forcing them in is a different story.
Yeah, no, I don't, I'm not looking to see if guys get forced into it, but I mean, but that's one way of kind of, bridging any communication gap with the residents in the town and getting ideas and letting the residents hear from them directly. I mean, how many times do I talk to any of these guys? That the opportunity just isn't there. But with a framework like this program, it would and could be available. My only thought is I'd kind of like to see things, the dust settle a little bit more before we say, oh yeah, I'd like to go forward with this, because I'd like to see some of these things get satisfactorily resolved. And but I am overall I am in favor of the idea of the program, even though it's different from what a larger city might have to offer a benefit from.
Yes, just a quick clarification. So would the chief be hosting this, or would us? And that effectively be that part. So if I understand, because I was just understanding it as it's the chief that's running this program, and then just asking for our support, and support just meaning endorsement, not necessarily that we are going to dedicate Mike or town hall resources to doing this directly.
I think there are going to need to be designated resources, only because what I remember is there were going to be focus groups and pizza and people coming in. I mean, I think no matter what, there's going to wind up being designated staff time. I don't know how we get around that.
No, I get that.
Yeah. Okay. So if you could do two things, Chief. One, is there a time limit? Because I kind of agree with Dave, maybe next spring, let's get through the next 6 months, like a next spring, summer thing. Or if they had a specific time in mind that they wanted to come to Boxborough. And then the other piece is get the union on board, give them, you can see it in our packet. I think it's like 10 pages. So quite a bit of information about what they do, how they do it, what results they expect. Take a look at it and discuss it with the chief. Have lunch and go over it and just figure out how we can make it work in Boxborough, and make it right for us. Does that make sense?
So you do not want them to, they had talked about the end of the summer or the fall, you're saying to hold off.
Well, that was Dave's suggestion. That's what I was saying. Is there a time frame that they want to be in Boxborough? And you're saying they want to be in August,
I mean, they
September?
talked about that, about starting it over the next couple of months. If you're saying you don't want this program, or you want this program held off, I think this program is needed. I would hope there's no members of the union who would be opposed to it. It's a Department of Justice program to improve relations with the community.
Mhm.
If there's any person in the police union who is not in support of that, I don't think they're here.
No, I'm not.
I haven't seen one person in this department who would not want to improve relations. So I would hope they'd all be in support of it. But again, if we want me to hold off,
No, I'm asking if they had a particular time frame. You just answered my question.
yeah, I mean, they talked about it when they
wanted
came
to come
here.
in August,
They
September.
wanted to come in at the end of the summer into the fall. But if you're recommending that we hold off a little bit and revisit it, I don't.
I would actually argue that like August in this community, it's a child-centered community. School starts before Labor Day, sports starts mid-August. To be honest, for our community, fall is if we're gonna do this, fall is better. August would probably be tough.
Oh, I don't think they were
Yeah.
going to be out here by then.
Okay.
I think this was more
All right.
getting it ready, trying to
Okay.
find a council, finding people to participate in the focus groups. And then I think he had talked about possibly December, January over the winter.
Okay. No, and then the other thing is, so please know, I lead a team of 10 people. I will do things that I think the team is going to jump up and down and be happy about. And I wind up with 9 very unhappy people because I didn't ask them first. So all I'm suggesting is that, I think they will all be, you even said it, you have an amazing crew. You have people that love working here and they're doing a great job. I'm just saying, learning from my own mistakes, if you involve them in it,
Well, I mean, it is
probably gonna be more excited about
it
it.
is the it is
I
for the
get it.
community. Now, are
For
they
all humans.
going to be certainly involved in it in some aspect of it? Yes, but it is community. That's the
Yeah,
community police. I mean, that's the focus of it. So
I get it.
it is going to be resident. I'm hoping an individual from the select board or two participates. I'm hoping other individuals in town, like Wes said, voices that maybe don't come out, we don't hear as much. Maybe they feel more comfortable in this environment. So that's the hope.
Well, I remember the gentleman presenting was talking about that. How do we help them reach all the groups? All the different, let's not call them groups, segments, the population. How do they reach the whole population? Let's put it that way. But no, all I'm saying is, as someone who leads a group of 10 people, they get really ticked at me when I think I'm doing an awesome job and I haven't actually asked them their opinions. That's all I'm saying. And something like this. I buy them snacks and they get mad. I bought the wrong snacks. Anyway, I love you guys. Don't watch this. All right. Okay. So we need to have an action on this. Oh, more discussion. Sorry.
No, I just wanted, Mike's opinion, like, if he have anything to add, Mike?
I do. I think anything that brings dialogue to the community and more voices and more people in the room, I think is helpful. Not just in policing, but anything when you're trying to build community. So I think this is a good program from what I can tell. Now, I'm not by any means central to this program at all, but I think in my role, it could be helpful to me in helping to lead the community by hearing some of these other voices and hearing some of the concerns, maybe voices that haven't been heard, maybe concerns that haven't been raised. One thing that interested me, that one of the presenters said last time that never occurred to me and probably has no application to Boxborough, was that they went into, was it Williamstown? Whatever the other town was, the other small town, and they came out with something that they hadn't anticipated at all, which was they needed greater awareness and accessibility from policing for people with disabilities.
It was
And-
actually Hamden, yeah.
Oh, okay,
Actually,
Hamden.
yes, he talked about.
So that kind of pushed a button with me, and it got me thinking, what's the thing here in Boxborough that we don't know about? I've replayed that again and again and again. So there are issues that we think we know are out there, and those are probably the easiest to fix. And it's made me wonder, what is that underlying thing? Maybe it's even a minor underlying thing that we have no idea about. And I think through dialogue, I think that may be helpful. So those are kind of where my thoughts have been on the program.
All right, then I'm going to make a motion to endorse the concept of bringing the SPCP program, strengthening police and community partnerships, to Boxborough. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion from the board?
So does that mean, according to their schedule, or as per my suggestion to kind of push it out a bit?
Well, I think because we're just endorsing it and it's the chief's program to run.
Okay,
Right, yeah, all we're doing is endorsing it.
okay, yeah.
And it sounded like it would be more September through January, so not pushed out a lot, but
Okay.
if we're gonna bring it in, we probably have to do it on their timeline. Is there any other discussion from the floor? From Zoom, any hands up? You guys are probably all asleep. Anybody?
No.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
I,
All opposed? All right, that carries unanimously. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. Okay. Back to appointments. All of you guys that hung in all this time, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Kristen, can we take Andrew first? Since
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Absolutely. Andrew, are you awake?
yes, I'm here.
Thank you for hanging in. All right. So you,
cured a couple rare cancers. I have peace in the Middle East and got a couple other things done.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I apologize.
Never mind. I'm just being silly.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so you are looking at becoming an alternate to the Sustainability Committee, and Francie was here to support your nomination. She has headed out, because I know it's late. I remember your presentation for ConsCom and all the amazing background you have. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts for the Sustainability Committee.
Well, I think, I mean, any town can use help in that regard. Sustainability to me is kind of like a very, very broad word. And it runs everything from keeping the community together for, our kids, keeping it functioning, keeping it running fiscally responsible, keeping it environmentally safe, keeping it a place to learn and a place to prosper. So it's really a broad definition. I'm just looking to help out in that way.
Okay. I'm learning that I look at the screen to look at your face, but I realize the camera's over here. It's very disjointed. Anyway, well, I really appreciate you stepping up. I'm sure the board does too. Does the board have any questions or comments for Andrew?
Just thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. And I move to appoint Andrew Tavalaki to the Sustainability Committee as an alternate with a term ending June 30th, 2025.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, Andrew, you get to go to bed now.
All right. Woohoo.
All right, 4-0.
All right. Thank you.
All
Have a good
right.
night, everybody.
What's that?
I said thank you and have a good night, everyone.
Good night, thanks.
Bye.
All right, let's tick through everybody who's up there. Let's, the next person I see is Les. Les Fox. Oh, sorry, passing pens around. Les, what are you being appointed to? We already appointed you to everything.
No, so we have Mark, right?
Oh.
The ones that I just passed over are the.
Aha, these are the ones. All right, thank you. Kelly's awesome. All right, thank you. Okay, Mark White, are you awake?
Won't be talking. Thank you.
There you are. I see you took yourself off mute. Hi.
I barely awake, yeah.
Hey Kirby, can we turn it down now so we don't get the echo?
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, Mark, you are here because you would like to be appointed to the Boxborough Building Committee, the representative from the planning board?
Yep.
Yep. Tell us why.
Because the planning board needs a representative to the building committee and it's been interesting watching what the building committee has been trying to do. So maybe we can see some movement there.
So, all right, so you got the short straw, is that what you're saying? No, you
It's a
said you were interested.
dirty job, but somebody has to do it.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Mark?
No questions.
No, thank you.
Yep, thank you for stepping up. Okay, I move to appoint, sorry, looking for everybody here. I move to appoint Mark White as a planning board representative to the community, nope, wrong one. Wait,
Yep. All right.
no, this is Boxborough Building Committee.
Building committee. Please don't appoint me to the wrong committee, Kristen.
No, I know, it, for some reason, the motion says that I'm, appointing you to the Community Preservation Committee, but I don't think that's the one you want, right?
Nope.
All right, I move to appoint Mark White as a planning board representative to the Boxborough Building Committee for a term ending June 30th, 2025.
Second.
All right, any additional comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, anyone opposed? All right, thank you, Mark.
Welcome. Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Okay, Tony. And I'm just going through the papers that Kelly gave me now. Tony Newton, you also have hung in all of this time and you are here to be appointed as the FinCom representative to the Capital Budget Committee.
Yes.
Any? Were you on it before?
No, I think new committee.
Oh, that's right, it's a new committee, that's a new, yeah.
So you know, I wanted.
It's a new committee and I volunteered to be part of the FinCom delegation for that. So, yeah, happy to be part of it.
Excellent. No, you know what I was thinking is, did you do Capital Saturday last year?
Yes.
So you have, that's what I was meaning, is you have familiarity with how Capital Saturday goes. You understand the charter of the committee and you are,
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
all right. Any other questions or comments for Tony?
Tony will be great. No.
All right, as always, thank you. Okay, I move to appoint. Everything is so out of order here. Oh my God. I move to appoint Tony Newton as the Finance Committee representative to the Capital Budget Committee with a term ending June 30th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you, Tony. All right. That's down. Becky, you are here for, yep, you've got two. Okay. Wait, like I said, too many pieces of paper and all different things. Right, okay. I move to appoint Becky Neville as the Finance Committee representative to the Community Preservation Committee for a term ending June 30th, 2025. Becky, is there a second?
Second.
Becky, tell us why you want to be in the community. Ouch.
Because Priya's on the select board now.
You know, I love an honest answer. Okay, so
That'll be the same for the next one also.
she's filling your shoes, Priya. You stepped up. Thank you. Okay. Was there a second?
Yes.
Yes, there was. All right. All in favor of appointing Becky to the Community Preservation Committee, please say, representing the Finance Committee, please say aye.
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 And aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Okay, Becky, here's the next one. You are also here to be appointed to the Housing Trust representing the Finance Committee.
Same reason.
Boy, is Priya giving you all these opportunities.
I'm
She
telling
has
you,
turned
lucky
away.
me.
All
Good thing I'm
right.
only on for the 2 years on finance committee.
All right, so I'm, let's see, I move to appoint Becky Neville as a Finance Committee representative to the Housing Trust for a term ending June 30th, 2025. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Another unanimous. All right. Okay. Shall we go, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee?
Just do consent for that.
What's up?
The consent.
We can do that in consent. Everyone's here? Okay, well, I would like to thank John Fallon, Wes Folks, Mary Sullivan, Amy Ostenar, Lakshmi Kaka, and Peshan Bartley for volunteering to be on this committee. Wes, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about diversity, equity, inclusion, what the committee's charter is, what your purpose is?
Sure.
You have to, otherwise people don't know, well, what is it? What are we doing?
So effectively, the committee is, sorry, it's like.
That's okay.
No, the committee is like, it's mostly an advisory and or supplement, or not supplementary, but effectively, the purpose of the committee is to recommend ways for boards, committees, and town officials to be or identify opportunities to be more inclusive, equitable, and promote. So one of the, I think the better aspects of the committee is that it is probably one of the most diverse in as many dimensions as possible as any committee we have in town.
Is Amy a blonde? I don't know Amy.
No.
You're missing a blonde. There's no blondes. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm teasing.
I
you.
mean,
I'm trying to lighten.
does my hair going white?
it.
Does my hair going white, you know?
All right, maybe. As we speak, you mean?
Yeah. But no, like effectively, some of the work they did was the diversity survey, the holiday calendar. So the holiday for different, after the survey, I identified all of the religious and those groups within town, and then created a holiday where those religions would observe days off or holidays, and then gave a summary of why they're important to that one. So that way, when we upgrade the website and change our scheduling, we can put those in. So that way it makes it easier for people creating meetings to not schedule it during religious observances from the people within our community.
Are there any plans to like have community events where to celebrate diversity and
So
celebrate?
that's more of the Acton Boxborough Cultural Council.
Uh-huh.
This committee doesn't have a budget. They don't have like, their charter is mostly just to well, I don't even have it in front of me.
I
Effectively,
didn't mean to put you on the spot. I'm sorry. I just figured where it's a new committee to me anyway, you know, understanding exactly what was gonna happen. Okay.
but yeah, no, so like effectively the committee invited the town administrator and then the police chief, and then when the new fire chief will be there to offer assistance in terms of a diverse not sounding board, but ways that things can be improved within the town. Because they don't technically have, the committee doesn't technically have any like they're not permitted, like they're not charged with any responsibilities or like legislative actions within their charge. So it's kind of,
So more education and awareness.
yes.
Wonderful. Is there a motion for me to do this? Does anybody have a question for Wes at all?
No questions for us.
I see Mary's on it.
You see here, here he is on it.
Okay. Is there a motion here for?
So we can just say, I move to.
It's on the first page.
Where is it?
Melissa.
So I move to appoint the members of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee as presented in the packet, and it gets a consent agenda as per consent.
Second. All right, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Unanimous, done, excellent. Okay. Who else? Let's see, I see John,
Yep.
Yeah.
oh, Gary, I'm sorry, what, John? Hi.
Yeah, no, I'm waiting for you to make your decision about the capital budget committee.
Okay, all right, that will be shortly. Just trying to hit everybody who's been so patient. Who else is on Zoom? Okay, all right. So why don't we go right to what's next on the agenda, which is the capital budget committee appointments. So Tony has been appointed. Gary Kushner, who was here last time, he kind of already spoke to all that, and we knew he was going to be put forward. So why don't we just do that? I move to appoint Gary Kushner as the finance committee representative to the capital budget committee with a term ending June 30th, 2026.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Thank you, Gary. All in favor, please say aye.
Hi.
All opposed? All right, Gary's on it. Okay, select board, 2 members TBD. John, I'm just gonna use my chair prerogative to just kind of
Don't
jump
we need to
forward.
appoint Mike Johns too.
Yeah, but we're
Okay.
not, there. Yes,
Okay.
yep, yeah, we'll do, I'm just ticking down the bullets now. Now we're back to an agenda that I can follow. Okay, so John, you came in and very eloquently explained, you know, all of the reasons why you'd be an amazing member of this committee. I actually think your talents would be wasted here. I think that where it's just the capital budget committee putting together what goes to Capital Saturday, they're not making decisions, they're making recommendations about capital things like, is it time to paint the town hall? Yes. Is it time, is it time to buy a cruiser or a fire truck? So I mean, I personally am inclined to keep it to the finance committee and the select board, and then bring it to Capital Saturday where it will be put out for everybody else. But that's just me. What is everybody, thoughts from the rest of the board?
I agree.
I agree.
So let me ask a question.
Sure.
What is the term for these appointments?
Let's see. There are no terms. I imagine it would be annual. What's on the appointment slips?
Well, wait a minute. I mean,
Oh, 2026, sorry.
2025.
Oh, see, all right, it's not.
Staggered,
Right.
apparently.
So there was a 2-year and a
Right.
3-year for.
Sorry, John.
And a 2-year and a 3-year for select board.
right, so you've got a 2 and a 3 year position, okay? And last time I was at the meeting, Dave was undetermined as to what he was going to do. As of right now, Dave would only be there until next June. Okay, so I've never heard of someone being rejected for trying to be on a committee because they were overqualified.
No, that's not it. What I'm saying is that you are on other boards and that in this case, it really is a budget committee, and it makes sense personally to me to be finance committee and select board because we are the most, have the most input basically from all the boards and commissions as liaisons, et cetera, et cetera. And then, when you were presenting, all of your qualifications, which are stunning, it didn't really apply to what we were doing on this committee.
Okay, but the fact that I'm one of the few members that have actually gone through multiple capital budget meetings doesn't apply.
I mean, I think John brought up the point that Dave's term is 1 year and then effectively you go up for election. I'm not going to opine on whether you run again or whatever, but I think that was the point that John was trying to make. I don't.
Right.
So you're, okay.
So you would need to change that if you were putting, if this board decided that I would be the representative, it would have to be for
1 year.
1 year.
Sure. Becky.
You guys just appointed me for 2 3-year terms and I'm only on finance. I can only be on finance committee for 2 more years because then I will have served my 3 terms. So at some point I will have to resign and then they'll fill the vacancies. So there's no reason Dave can't do it for 1 year. I mean, I
And then have it filled.
I wanted to just say, I mean, you guys appointed me for 3 years. I can't be served 3 years.
So in terms of this board, I mean, I asked a question about it when I looked at the agenda because it said TBD. So I know that Kristen's talking to John, but what's the process here for nominating people on the board to do that? Somebody nominates and then the board votes like the finance committee did?
Yeah. Yes, I think that makes sense, and how the planning board chose Mark to be their representative. Yeah, I think the board does, either you volunteer or we appoint, or we vote you in, either way. Yes, so it'd be the same process.
Either you volunteer or you get voted in, is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, no, quite,
Yeah,
no, I don't know that there's any strict process on how a board decides who is going to become. The vote is actually when we approve anybody's appointment. That's the vote, is when we approve
Okay.
it.
Kristen, I mean, I don't know about other times, but like when we were in FinCom, we just kind of volunteered.
Right.
Like who wants to be on what? And
Okay.
and then it was approved. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's how it goes. And in terms of the years, I think that makes sense. Like if Dave is appointed and he needs to re-enroll type of thing, that's what he does. So,
Okay. I do believe that the intent was the finance committee, the select board and the TA work together to put together a list that then goes to Capital Saturday where it gets fleshed out, debated, everybody can participate and that's when you bring everybody in. But I do believe this was always originated as a select, as that triangle, essentially. That was the whole point of putting this together. So, but I mean, what's the rest of the board think? I'm only one person.
So I'm volunteering.
I guess, Kristen, the reason I volunteered in the beginning is because I looked at the charter. Okay, and the charter did not specifically say that it would be a member. It said it could be your designee. So what I'm hearing right now is that your view is that the select board would not need a designee.
The way I look at a designee is if there wasn't enough interest on the board and we felt that we needed to, bring in someone else, we could designate somebody else. But in this case, we have two select board members who want to do this, who want to be on the board together. And that really is the intent. To me, the designee is that secondary. But again,
Okay, but Kristen, I'm just trying to explain, the reason I was here all this time and listening is because at the last meeting, Dave was not sure what he was going to do. So am I hearing now that Dave wants to do this?
John, when you
And
heard the
that's
last
what the-
meeting, I said, I said, do we have to decide this tonight? And
Okay.
I've thought about it. I did put my name down as being interested in that committee. I've thought further on it,
Okay.
and I'm confirming that I want to be on that committee.
Okay, thank you very much, Dave. I didn't realize that.
okay, so let's just jump in then. I move to appoint. How do we just do it? Oh my gosh, so many things. Well, this could be by the person, no? Does this have to be all?
It should be by the person because they're different term lengths.
Okay. I don't have the terms in here.
It's on here.
All right, thanks. Here we go. No, I've got it. I move to appoint, they're both. Okay, so both of them are 2026. So one needs to be 2025 and one needs to be 2026.
No.
Yeah, it says right here, I move to appoint blank as a select board. It does say blank. Nobody had made any decisions ahead of time. I move to appoint blank, I move to appoint blank, but they're both 26. So should one be 25 and
Yes.
one 26?
I think so. Just stagger the terms.
24.
I think you can do
No,
it 2 year
because
and
the
3 year.
term, so the term initially is for the full term, so that way you leave it.
Yeah, it's not for the person, it's for the position, because then the next person would be appointed for a 1 year position, and then we don't have everybody falling off at the same time. But good point, Kelly, good point. All right, I move to appoint Dave McKiernan as a select board representative to the capital budget committee with a term ending June 30th, 2025. Is there a second? All right, is there any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, I move to appoint Priya as a select board representative to the capital budget. Priya, how do you say your last name correctly?
Sundaram.
Sundaram.
Yeah. You got it.
I was skipping it because I didn't want to embarrass myself. I move to, because I know how to read it. I move to appoint Priya Sundaram. I didn't roll my R's as a select board representative to the capital budget committee with a term ending June 30th, 2026.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, I said aye. All righty. I move to appoint Michael Johns to the capital budget committee with a term ending June 30th, 2026.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, everybody's in. Excellent. All right, so this is all done. All right. All right, Community Preservation Committee, representatives from the Housing Board, Ron Vogel from the Housing Board, Sam Anderson from the Conservation Commission, Chad Childers from the Historical Commission, and Becky Neville from the Finance Committee. You're just gonna be on every board forever. All right. Are they all staggered also?
Becky, we already appointed.
Yeah, Becky's all set. All right. We do have to do them. All right, I move to appoint Sam Anderson as the Conservation Commission representative to the Community Preservation Committee for a term ending June 30th, 2026.
Second.
Second.
Any- Thank you, Sam.
Here you, sorry.
Is there any further discussion beyond? Thank you, Sam. Thank you for serving. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. I move to appoint Ron Vogel, Chad Childers. That's it. Ron Vogel. Oh, no, we'll have to do this separately. I move to appoint Ron Vogel as the Housing Board representative to the Community Preservation Committee for a term ending June 30th, 2025.
Second.
Any further discussion? Thanks, Ron. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, Inlet Flint. I move to appoint Chad Childers as the Historical Commission Representative to the Community Preservation Committee for a term ending June 30th, 2025.
Second.
Any further discussion? Thank you, Chad. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? None. All righty. I believe that's all of our appointments based on all of this. All right, let's just take a minute and get all these signed.
Please go back to Dave.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, so once we're all done with this, we're gonna go back to the top of the agenda because everything was topsy-turvy and we're just gonna tick through it. And I think the first thing is gonna be reports. CA report, anything that the board has to report. So you can be thinking about it. All right. Oh, gosh, there's more. Oh, my goodness.
Fine.
No, I did these already. These are signed.
You just get faster after like here's 2 and 3.
All right.
Can never be that bad. Were you a doctor or what?
I just scribble.
Oh, mine's a mess. Okay. You know, we're just gonna tick down the agenda. I think it's just cleaner. That way we won't miss anything. Okay, everybody, no, they're still signing.
This is done.
I could still look at the question one.
Okay, you're good. You can multitask. All right.
Yes.
Okay, board and administrator comments and reports. So why don't we start with you, Mike? Any town administrator reports, comments, updates?
A couple of quick updates. First thing is, as was mentioned earlier, our fire and police departments did respond to the plane crash yesterday next to the airport. And we had many complimentary remarks came back on the professionalism and fast respond of all of our first responders. This is one of those, and it came from Chief Solis, who's the police chief over in Stowe, and it was addressed to Chief Shefchik and forwarded to me. Chief, yesterday your department assisted with us with response to a plane crash. Your officers were incredibly helpful. It is reassuring that we have these strong working relationships that help ensure that both of our communities remain safe. So anyways, he wanted to just thank the town for their response.
Did you all saw that, the news report about was it a Cessna? What was it?
It was a Cessna, small Cessna, with 3 souls on board. All 3 survived with critical injuries. I have not had an update since yesterday on their condition, but there were no fatalities.
All right, thoughts and prayers to them and their families. All right.
Second thing, recreation program is going phenomenally well over at Flora Meadows. I've made a couple of visits over there, and I attended the Recreation Commission meeting last Wednesday. They're doing great. They've got great support, working hard on getting communications going between the commission and the staff in town hall. We have a fairly new staff member who's working to support them. And we've come a long way. Rajan and I had a meeting with the Rec Commission chair and the administrative assistant who works there. And I think we're making great strides in getting there. But hats off to the folks over at Flora Meadows who are running that. What I see is a great program, very well attended, lots of energy. I will say that both times I showed up, I wasn't even out of the gravel parking lot onto the grass. When both times I visited, I was stopped by a staff member who wanted to make sure. Well, because I'm an adult, and the first day, the question was, "Sir, you must have a young one you're here to pick up." And I said, "No," and I introduced who I was. And they said, "Oh, wonderful." And second time, the same thing. So they're doing they're running great, fun programs, and it's safe. They're making sure that strangers don't, come into the area. So my hat's off to everyone in recreation.
So just a quick poll. I have 3 grandchildren there. Do you have anyone there, Priya?
No, not
Wes?
right now.
Not
I
right-
used to have them.
And do they love it?
Yes.
Wes, are your kids there?
Yeah.
Not yet. Dave, you've got grandkids there?
2, 1 works there.
There you go. And having a good time?
It's great.
I know
It's
you've
great.
talked and visited,
I've been
right?
there twice.
I've done pickup in the rain. I didn't get out of the car. Get in the car, let's go. But they're having a good time? Kelly, are your kids there?
They have been.
Have been. All right. Okay, well, I'm glad that everyone's having fun. Good. All right, anything else?
2 other quick updates. So we are going back out to advertise for the fire chief. We decided it wasn't in our best interest to hire at this time. We're going to go out and try to get a broader, larger pool to select from. And it's going to take longer, but I believe you're better to take your time and make the right hire. And so that's what we're going to do.
So do we have an interim plan?
Yes, thank you. So Captain Gray is the interim fire chief from now until the time that the new chief is hired. He and I have met a couple of times, actually several times, and Rajan and I will be meeting with him and the emergency management team this Wednesday in town hall just to get an update on that front. So I'm impressed with the work that they're doing. They're continuing to do great work. And yeah.
How long has Sean been on the department? Long time.
15 or 16 years. He's been in the fire service for much longer than that. He started as a per diem. He's worked in several other towns. But yeah, they're doing a great job. They have two captains, 2 lieutenants. One captain's per diem, one of the lieutenants is per diem. The other 2 are career. And they're doing a great job.
Well, thank you, Sean. Thanks for stepping up. Nice.
Okay, and the last thing is now that we have a intermunicipal agreement signed between Littleton Water Department and the town of Boxborough, we're moving forward. The next big step along the way is a special legislation that allows the 2 towns to share water. That's required under Massachusetts general law. But this Wednesday, there is a forum that's going on, and I suggest people attend it. You do have to register to provide any comments, but you can watch passively if you just go on to Boxborough cable access and community television and watch that. But to register, just go to the water committee's webpage, or contact the administration, and we'll lead you towards the link. And so people can sign up and participate in that. And that's all I have for updates this evening.
The only other question I had is where do we dispatch? Are we in kind of a holding pattern? Still considering regional dispatch? My understanding is that we are now fully staffed with dispatchers, or there's 5 dispatchers now, I think.
We have more staffing than we had before. Not everyone is done with their training.
Okay.
So we're still in flux. We are still pursuing regional dispatch. But one of the things we're waiting for on getting our working group going was the new fire chief's arrival, but we're not going to wait any longer for that. That's going to be part of our discussion on Wednesday. Because as you remember, the board had discussed, bringing on a working group and getting some of the sergeants and captains involved in that. That is our intention, and we'll move that forward starting Wednesday.
Okay. Sounds good. I just wasn't sure now that we've hired, things are in a little better shape. Wasn't sure where we were at that.
Yeah, I think it's still important to pursue the opportunity for regional dispatch for a number of reasons. And the main one, in my mind, is sustainability. And while we might be in better shape now than we were, I don't think we have a sustainable model And I'm seeing that collapse in many communities around the state. And I just think we were, the latest to fall victim to that. And I think we'd be back there again at some time in the future if we don't look at a more sustainable model.
Okay. Okay. Anybody have any questions or, any more questions for Michael? No? All right.
Just one last update.
Yeah.
We're also in the process of interviewing candidates for the associate town planner position.
Exciting.
We plan on finalizing interviews this week, but we've had a good group of candidates that that we've interviewed, and members of the interview panel have been myself, the town planner / director of the land use and permitting department, the administrative assistant, as well as the chair of the planning board.
All right. How's it going?
It's going good.
How many applicants do we have?
4.
4. And how many are you interviewing?
All 4.
All 4. Good. That's awesome. All right, good. Thank you for taking the time to do that. Excellent. Does anybody else have a report or an update for the committee?
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
I know, we all are. I know, we're all.
There's still a lot here that,
Well, we don't have to do everything. There's actually not, and we can skip over some of the things, and push them to the next meeting. Yep.
There's,
Well, I have a report that I do need to bring up. I am sure that, we did receive communication. We received a couple of different communications as the board. One was from Mark Barbadero and then another from Diana Lapari, both concerning me being appointed to the zoning board as well as being on the board of selectmen. So I wanted to give everybody, including the public, an update. The reason I was asked to remain on the zoning board is because we do have some litigation coming up where we have a situation where there are 2 planning board members also on the zoning board of appeals. And because the planning board has denied subdivision approval, that left kind of a void on the zoning board of people who have been on it, knowledge of it, et cetera, et cetera. So I was actually requested to be appointed again for another position. This has caused some concern about conflict of interest and ethics. So I did 2 things. One, I called the state ethics attorney of the day. Actually spoke to the same attorney twice. She must be the Friday person, because I had a long conversation with her on a Friday. She called me a week later just to get some clarification. Mark Barbadero had sent concerns about section 20 in the ethics. You saw that, and that's, you can see that. That actually refers to paid positions, and where these are uncompensated positions. This ethics board actually said you can hold as many of those as you want, that as long as there's no compensation involved, there's nothing there. She did call back and ask the question. There is a line in there that says that you can't be appointed to a board where you have direct supervision. So now there's some interpretation there. We appoint the zoning board, but we don't actually supervise the zoning board. We can't supersede their decisions. We can't tell them what to do. So we don't technically supervise them. And that was her opinion. That was the attorney's opinion. I did talk to Mike again about it. And I also talked to Adam Costa, who is one of our land use attorneys. And they all said the same thing. With the zoning board, if you don't like what the zoning board says, you go to land court. You don't go to the board of selectmen, to appeal the ZBA's decision. So it looks like we're in the clear there. Now, what Adam did say is that you could, all right, so there's a couple of other things. These are all my notes here. There is a selectman's position exemption, and there's also an additional exemption for towns of fewer than 10,000 people, both of which apply to us. I'm not trying to cause trouble, and I very clearly said that if anybody, I do not want to put the town at risk. I think there are, quite frankly, political reasons that people don't want me to be on the ZBA anymore. And I respect that, but I do believe I'm doing what's in the best interest of the town. If you all think differently, you can remove me from the zoning board. So I am putting it out there and you can think about it and come back with it. But I've had 2 attorneys say it's not an issue. When Adam and I went down the rabbit hole of the appearance of impropriety, he actually pointed out that because the zoning board sent one of the parties, since the select board actually sent one of the parties who had been denied back to the ZBA, we actually gave them a second chance. We didn't escalate them to land court, or it was going to cost them money, et cetera, et cetera. We're giving them a second chance to work with the town, with our bylaws. to determine what the next steps for their property is. So he said that, it'd be highly unlikely in that situation that they're going to sue because I didn't, the select board did not harm them in any way. So, but there always, he said there can always be the appearance. So I am putting that out there, but neither attorneys thought there was going to be an issue here. So anyway, and there are other things that I think that we'll deal with later, but in general, I just wanted everyone to know that I did do all of that due diligence as requested by both of those parties. So, I mean, opportunity for questions, comments, and
So, so when you say you're going to be there for a short period of time, do you have a timeline in mind?
well, unfortunately, we haven't, Mike knows more than I, we haven't actually escalated. It looks like we're in a little bit of a pause. Now, I will say the zoning board has had very little business in the last couple of years. If you look, we have actually had very few meetings. We cancel meetings more than we have them. So to answer your question, I don't know how long I'll be there, to be perfectly honest. Like I said, it comes back to the fact that we have 2 planning board members who denied an application also on the zoning board. And that's where there's a real issue if they vote as a zoning board member also. That's where the town can get into some real jeopardy with these particular situations. But that's for another time and another place, that's not what I want to bring up right now. But yes, to answer your question, I don't really know.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I don't want to be on it forever. Quite frankly, another night out is not attractive to me. But luckily it is a pretty lightweight board.
Okay.
So, anybody else?
You've done your due diligence with the state ethics board and the attorneys, I guess.
Okay, as long as everybody on this board is comfortable with it. All right, and then Diana also sent a note about select board liaisons and what a liaison's job should or shouldn't be. Wes, you were on the board at the time, so I'm assuming a lot of what she said resonated. About when the new policies and procedures were written for the select board, there was a whole section on liaisons and how she believes the previous board felt liaisons should be operating. Essentially, that we are truly liaisons. We're not members of other committees. We don't have to attend meetings. We can communicate just with the chair to bring information back to the board, but that we should not be leading those boards in any way, shape, or form as the liaison. Is that, I'm just kind of summarizing. I actually wrote.
Yeah, you're kind of paraphrasing, but there should be, did it get put into the packet at the 11th hour?
It didn't.
Yeah, this was the very last minute. This came in yesterday.
No, I'm not, you're talking about Diana's email?
Yeah.
No, what I had mentioned to Mike was about putting it, because if it's on the minutes here, or it's on the agenda to vote on it. So we need something to vote on rather than paraphrasing and say, and make a motion on that. So I guess why don't we push
Pick
that
this
out to the
one?
next meeting and
Sure.
then we'll have it.
Okay.
And then we'll be able to say, yes, we're all agreed. This is the definition of the,
Works for me. Does it work for everybody else?
My only question is, as a liaison, I mean, sometimes I've asked questions so that I can understand it better, and sometimes I've given suggestions, not necessarily out of my own, but like that board or committee opens it up and asks everyone if you have any input. So at that time I have given it. So am I now to say I can't give any input? I'm just asking so that I follow what's appropriate.
I think the main point of it was just to say, like, instead of being like, so I guess the old way was kind of just to be like, if you were the liaison of that board or committee, you were kind of like the select board's representation at that board or committee. Whereas really what it is if they say, okay, well, we're looking to get this on the warrant, you say, okay, do you need any help formatting that then bringing that to the chair? Like, if you're like help, I can help you. If you have any questions, like you want to do an event, this is how you like go to Mike to ask for like funds or see if there's funds available. Those types of things, rather than just, and it's more of like the liaison rather than just kind of being the select board, speaking as more of like the select board representation at that board or like the meetings. Because a lot of times there was unwritten expectation that your liaison would be like at every meeting. and be an active participant, almost as if they were like a appointed member. But more of the advisory or the role that you're speaking of. But I mean, no one can stop you as a member going to a board or committee meeting, and even for ones that you're not a liaison to, and asking clarifying questions or making suggestions, like that's your right as a citizen. I think it was more of just the structure of, instead of like saying, oh, I didn't get this bill paid or something like that, and saying, okay, let me go to the treasurer for you, say, this is something that you should bring up to Mike, and then he should handle appropriately.
Okay. We do, per you, we do need to, we do need to get a copy of the operating procedures so we can see what the previous board has written and voted in. Absolutely, so we can understand it better. But, kind of when I drill down on, what Diana's concerns were, is that we don't commit the select board to actions. You truly are a liaison. You do want to understand what they're doing and how they're doing it, and that you stay clear of decision-making, so that you don't wind up with a conflict of interest. Like if you push the board to make a certain decision and then come back to this board and vote for it, you've steered the board. So it's just really, I think, more being careful, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, being careful of open meeting law, ethics, and making sure the boards and commissions are able to follow the charters to which they've been appointed.
And I think it's also kind of setting the expectation from the other boards and committees that it's not like somebody going to every one of your meetings and being an active participant.
Right, which is the way it used to be. I mean, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, like I used to be at 4 nights a week. Yeah. Okay, and then the other thing that she made a big point about, and again, we'll read it in the operating procedures, is that now that we have a strong administrator, there are no liaisons to the big departments, no police, fire, library. They report directly to Mike. If they have an issue, Mike brings it to us. So, I will say, I think some of us are a little more involved with the day-to-day operations of some of these big departments than others, but that the idea is that we pull back, let Mike be that managing person. And then if we have questions, we ask Mike, who then will ask questions of that department head. Mike, thoughts?
I agree.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, because okay. All right, so we'll do why don't we put that on the next agenda too, to review the operating procedures regarding liaisons, and then we'll decide everybody.
And then we need to decide on the liaison.
In August, yeah.
And did you
I
get
filled mine
the, you put yours in,
Mhm.
and Wes, you did as well?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually, if you could print those for the next meeting, only because then we have them in front of us, because there's some where multiple people have requested to be on it, where there's, we could just get a better
Because, yeah,
idea.
we didn't know who's gonna. what-
Right.
what-
No, we were
Yeah.
supposed to fill in your name for everything you were interested in, and then we'll actually assign it at our next meeting.
Yeah.
Yep.
That work?
Yeah, do you want that in the packet, or do you just want it all on one single spreadsheet to the 4 of you?
I'm gonna bring it on a piece of paper, because like Wes, I need to see it, because I will lose track of who's where.
Right.
So I don't mind printing it at home and bringing it myself. That's what I did
think
with all
if
of
they're on-
this.
If it were 4 different sheets, I think that'd be fine. To try to squeeze it onto, I mean, you could put it onto one.
So just taking the
spreadsheet.
sheet that they have, is you just like, if they're already
Just print
partially,
it.
she already has it partially consolidated.
Yeah.
So just put in like an X under the column of where the person was interested, so you can see the conflicts or the people that might be interested, and then you just
Yeah.
say, okay, do you want this one and I'll take that one?
Yeah.
Or I just say, you want to take them all, go ahead.
Can we give it-
You're just tired. You're tired.
Yeah.
We
There you
should have
go.
brought you some chocolate.
You have it all set.
Okay,
And there's a whole bunch of things
That's
where
great.
nobody has volunteered. And so again, I will do just much better if you turn that into a PDF and print it, so I can take notes as we go, because I will forget what I volunteered for. That's the other piece of it.
Yeah.
So we'll email that out to you this week, and then also
Yeah.
print
That'd
it
be
for your
great.
next
I
meeting.
can print my own too, whatever, as long
that'd
as
be
I.
great. Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. If that were emailed out, that'd be great. Then I
Yeah.
could look at it and say, okay,
Tell you what, everybody who wants it will print it and bring it with them. I'll bring one for you once.
okay.
I'm good.
Okay. I can't do it that way. All righty. So that was comments, reports, that was public input. Were there any other emails, you guys, that we need to mention? Because that's what correspondence is, not that I can think of. All right. Approval of minutes. So let's tick through the minutes. I know Dave, you already went through them, and Kelly already made some improvements to them. Has everyone had a chance to read them? I'll entertain a motion when everyone's had a chance. Or shall I make the motion?
I can make a motion. I move the minutes of June 16th, June 26th, and July 17th
As written,
As amended.
as amended.
as amended, right? Yeah, okay.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Right, unanimously approved. All right, it is with regret that we are accepting Ann Seymour's resignation from the Wellbeing Committee. Ann is a very talented yogi. I don't right now, but I took many classes from her. Very thoughtful person. So, but yeah, she has withdrawn, or I'm sorry, resigned from the Wellbeing Committee.
Thank you, Ann.
Yeah, thank you, Ann. Thank you for all of the years. Okay, again, just kind of ticking through. We're gonna move. All right, so we did the grievances, we did the SPCP, we did the parade.
Did you accept it? Or I don't know if we have to accept it.
I don't know that we have to vote to accept it. Do we have to vote to accept the resignation?
Resignation.
All right, I move to
Yeah.
accept Ann Seymour's resignation from the Wellbeing Committee.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Wes keeps me honest. All right, so we are going to boot liaisons, purpose and role. Mike is gonna, or Rajan or Kelly, someone will provide us with the operating procedures so we can take a look at what's been done in the past. We're gonna move select board representative. Next, set the fall town meeting date. Is that something we can do quickly?
Yes, so it's set for November 6th. And tonight it would be appropriate to make a motion to open the warrant. And
And so that's two different motions.
That's
yes,
good, yeah.
Okay, I move to set the 2023 fall town meeting for November 6th, 2023 as presented. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Any discussion about that? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, unanimously approved. I move to inform all departments, boards, committees, commissions, and the public at large that the warrant of the 2023 fall town meeting shall open for such submission at the date of July 24th, 2023, and close by end of business day on August 28th, 2023.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Unanimously approved. Okay, I think expense and payroll warrant management. That kind of dovetails with moving back to that strong administrator, strong fire chief, et cetera, letting the department heads do their jobs. Mike oversees them, that the treasurer and the accountant is back up. I don't know if we would like to have a longer discussion of this at a different time. Mike, do you want to speak to it?
sure. So it's done differently in different towns. I think that the way that it appears to me that it's done here in Boxborough reflects a time gone by.
A more
When-
hands-on approach?
Well, yeah, when you had more of an executive assistant rather than a town administrator, especially a strong town administrator. So where I came from, the expense warrants and the payroll warrants were reviewed and approved by the town manager or the assistant town manager in the absence of. Here, I was surprised when a couple of weeks went by and I had never seen the expense warrants or the payroll warrants. So what happens here is those warrants go directly from the accountants to the board. The board reviews and approves them. And while it makes my job much easier, I think, skipping over the town administrator, it kind of gives me a pass on having to do that.
We don't
work.
want you to have that
Give him a
task.
pass, actually. I don't know about you guys.
And,
That's gonna give him a pass.
So I think at the very, I spoke with the town accountant months ago about this. I said, is there a reason that I don't see the warrants? And she said, that's just the way that Boxborough did it when she got here. I said, and me too. I said, what's it take to change that? She said, well, the the will of the board. So, so I've raised that, to Kristen, and just said, I think the board at least should have a discussion about it. And if you want to keep it exactly as it is, at least it's for a reason, because that's what the board decided right now you want to do. Or, two changes you could make is you could at least change it so that the town administrator is reviewing the payroll and expense warrants before they go to you for approval. Or you could change it so that they go into the town administrator for review and approval, and then you still see, what's been done. So you have a number of options. Keep it the way it is, change it a little, change it a lot.
So I'm going to stop right now and say, if people have really strong opinions, we can move this to August and have a discussion then. Or if people don't, if people have quick opinions, we can move it through tonight.
I want Mike to be in charge.
Wes?
I mean, I'm fine with the last one where you just CC the board after, like, as it gets signed, like Mike signs it, because they get CC'd on it, or at least Kelly gets CC'd on it when we finish signing it, and we get like those ones that this has been completed. So
Yeah.
because it goes back to the day when you had literally Jennifer would put it out on the thing, and you'd have to come in over the weekend and sign it by Monday. Otherwise, we had to approve it during the meeting.
Thoughts, Dave?
I like the idea of Mike reviewing these and maybe approving it, but I also like the idea of the select. I mean, historically, the select board has had some, some preview of what's in there. So I kind of like the consistency of that. And I mentioned to Mike, things happen, people disappear, and it's like if there was somebody who's sitting in that chair who, was maybe half as good as Mike, then it would be like, oh, we might, if we gave that away, we might be wishing we were still signing off on those things. So
You can always take it back, like that. You're delegating authority until further time, which you can revoke it as well.
And that was something that Dave asked me when we had a conversation Friday afternoon. Is that written into law or bylaw or anything? And I did look into that as we had discussed. And there is nothing. It's more of a procedure that you could change it tonight or next month. And then if you didn't like it in a couple of months or 6 months or a year, you could change that procedure back to something that you're more comfortable with. So I didn't find any law or bylaw that says that it has to be done the way it's being done now.
Yeah. So, but as long as we have access to it and we can see what's there, because, we're, ultimately, I mean, we need to make sure that ourselves as select people that the town's money is being spent wisely, and we don't say, well, what's this? But there's plenty of stuff in there. I thought, boy, I wish Mike was looking at this, because I can't make heads or tails of this, so yeah.
No, I just think it makes sense to have you reviewing it. Then where the departments are. You're going to see red flags, people running out of money in a line item. Hopefully we can either write a tighter budget next year and have less of these crazy transfers everywhere.
Right.
Or we can see what the needs are.
Budget then, because you said, wouldn't it be a looser budget then if you don't have all the transfers everywhere?
I guess that's all definition, right? So to me, tight means everybody just gets what they get, and that's all you get. So
Looser would just be you don't budget to the penny for like saying we have this expectation that you're in this position, and then you're here, and then we end up having somebody leave or have like the part-time or the consultants.
Yeah, it's certainly what we
fair
want.
enough.
Yeah, and what we want is more appropriately budgeted and more appropriately managed.
Right. Okay, that's a much,
Both ends.
there we go. We married it. Okay, all right. So I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, so let me just clarify what you just said. You said review. So do you want Mike to review or approve?
Review and approve.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll get a copy of it after he's approved it. And of course, the option, if you see any crazy red flags or you've got questions, you
Yep.
call Mike first.
Yep.
And then the department head. So essentially.
Well, we don't even need to talk to the department heads. It would just be like Mike.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Just call
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. Not.
Because we can't
I guess
even ask him a
right, and
question.
Don't call anybody, you go right to Mike.
You don't have access to it to answer the question. So, okay.
Right. And if you don't know the answer, you'll get it for us.
Right.
Does that work?
That works.
Okay.
So second, was that a motion?
I don't
So,
think-
yeah, there's no motion. Yeah, so, okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we have our town administrator review the warrants.
Or his designee, town administrator designee, to review and approve the warrants and then include sorry. Because if he was making the argument that if he's on vacation, Rajan would fill in during that time.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah.
So, all right, so go ahead, Wes, take
So fine. So I would move to authorize the town administrator or his designee to review and approve the payroll and accounts payable warrants. And upon completion, I guess would it be carbon copy to the board? The
Or
select board?
disseminate a copy to the board.
Yeah.
Second.
Any further discussion?
We-
All in favor, please say aye.
Hi,
Opposed? All right, unanimous. All right, Mike, your work just doubled.
that's good.
Select board office hours. I don't actually even know what that is.
Okay, so when we had the, when we were here and we were in front of the League of Women Voters, the question was, would you people support office hours to have select board people available? And we said yes. I think, well, I mean, only two of us. Well, no, you were, yeah, I think you would have been
Yeah, no,
there
I'm
as well. So
totally-
you must say yes.
No, I'm totally.
So,
fine, sorry.
so yeah, so then, so the question is sort of like, okay, when and how, right? And so, and really, I'm thinking if we just had some fixed, you know, certain days, mornings or afternoons on some other days where, you know, one of us just comes in, I guess the place is closed on the weekend, right? So it's not a weekend thing, but.
I mean, you
even
have
if
a
we-
key.
No, they should be a key.
The office
We'll
sorry.
we'll get you a key.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike.
No,
No, one of the things with office hours, I think that came up was like, not necessarily to meet like face to face, if people are available to do that face to face, but at least be available on the phone too. So it doesn't have to be office hours, doesn't have to be like somebody has to be present in an office to be able to. As long as they are able to reach out to us, I guess, I think that would be more appropriate and more flexible to be able to accommodate.
So it sounds like someone just emails the select board at foxboroughma.gov and says, can somebody talk with me at some point?
Yeah.
Or are you looking for something else?
Yeah, or like someone like to kind of call and say, hey, I'm having this issue, like, can you guys take, like, some people are, many of them are not comfortable kind of going and emailing.
Yeah.
So some of them might want to like just talk to a person. So just having that time available for them if they want to talk.
what if we had a hybrid? I mean,
Yeah.
Dave and I are probably more available. Like I'm thinking of being here at lunchtime
Yeah,
twice a
we could
month
do
at
that.
lunchtime.
We could do
And,
that.
we have flexible, so I don't know how flexible you guys are. but
I didn't
that's-
sign up for this.
That's totally fine. But we could also put the word out that, we'll just say a member of the select board is going to be here, every other Thursday at lunchtime. Or please call us and actually put our numbers out there.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't sign up to put my number out there.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, no,
yeah,
because Priya was suggesting people would rather talk to us on the phone. So but you're saying you're not comfortable putting your cell phone out there.
Yeah, I mean, this is something we'll have to discuss, obviously. I mean, that was just,
So just a historical perspective, we did do this in the past and it was a big,
Nobody showed up.
yeah.
Well, I'm gonna bring my work. Okay, but still, we did make a pledge when we ran.
Yeah, okay, so, all right, so. It is late and
Yeah.
I don't know if we're gonna continue on, so why,
Why don't you come back with a proposal at our next meeting?
exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right, Dave will come back with a proposal. I do like the idea of getting it out to the community that we are available, even if it is just our email address that comes to all of us, or letting people know if you're more comfortable talking to one person or the other.
Or call Kelly and say, leave a message and she can route you to somebody.
yeah.
No,
that would work.
Kelly's like, sign me up. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Adoption of the federal conflict of interest. All right, so Dave's gonna come back with that, Dave. All right, adoption of the federal conflict of interest policy. Is that something that needs significant discussion?
No, it
Trying to
isn't.
get us out of here by 11, you
No.
guys.
So that's part of the ARPA funding for Economic Development Committee. And that they came up with a NOFA application for small businesses to apply to. We had town council look at it and they recommend that we, in addition to the state conflict of interest policy, that we adopt a federal conflict of interest policy. And they have drafted one that was in your packet. And that's so that people who are getting this, who might also be applying for federal and state grants money, that they understand that, you know, they are subject to conflict of interest. So it's all been vetted by town council. EDC has looked at it. Town planner has looked at. In fact, he started the ball rolling on this. So I think this is all teed up, ready for you to approve.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions about it?
I'll move to accept the adoption of the federal conflict of interest policy as presented.
All right.
Second.
Excuse me, any further discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Wonderful. The last one should be quick, and we kind of already did it a little bit. And that was, you know, that we do have a whole field use policy that we probably should take a look at, and there are fees that go with it. And, you know, we were talking about just leave the TA the opportunity to waive, reduce, whatnot, the fees, rather than having to bring it to the board and make people come in and present, you know, just let him make that decision. But, you know, and we were talking about things like profits versus nonprofits, community events, you know, that kind of thing. But we'll just, you know, we certainly can review the field use policy was in the packet. We can certainly review it at our next meeting, unless, you know, everyone's already had a chance to read it. But it just seemed to make the most sense to let Mike take care of that.
And was that in the, did I read that in the current policy, or that's the old policy that's in there now? It does not, and it does not include you.
The old policy is in there now.
Which does not include.
Right,
okay.
so we'd have to amend it.
So, okay, so we're looking for ideas to amend. Okay, so then
Yeah.
that goes.
So
up
let's
to another
kick it to August. Everyone take another good look at it.
So the result of it was last time that the board was fine with it, but it was actually, I looked at it, it was my motion that we just said, why don't we wait until there's an actual policy defining the waiving of the fee? And even if it's just a, we grant like blah, 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 to blah, 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 and then it's just a procedural thing at that point. And then it's consistent, and then people can't say, well, you discriminated against me because I have girls in my group or something like, I don't know.
Pick anything.
Yeah,
You have a blonde in the group.
yeah,
That's it, you're out.
yeah.
And that actually makes sense to me, because when I went back and reviewed the policy and looked at those minutes, which I think occurred about a year ago, maybe last July.
Probably the last time we had to do it, yeah.
Yeah. And I looked at, you know, I'm about to take responsibility for doing this. I'm like, I'm not comfortable, because if I'm going to be waiving fees, I want to know that I'm doing something that's fair and equitable.
Mhm.
So I think it makes sense to review the policy before we do that.
Do you want to write up some suggestions about how you would?
I will, and I'll get together with the DPW director as well, because he's got a lot more experience with this, seeing the different groups coming in. So I would have a conversation with him and then come back with a proposed policy amendment.
Okay, so we'll review that at the next.
Yep.
The next one, okay. All righty, we've done everything. We do have a quick executive session. That we have to, it'll be quick. We're gonna get out of here by 11. So, all right, so I would like to, did you put my motion here for moving into an executive session?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Oh, I'll second that one.
No. He's
begging you.
I'll second that one.
Draw that motion. No, we have to move to go into executive session for the purposes.
We have a motion that's second.
Oh, well, executive session should have been before the adjourn then.
And then,
I thought it was
then we
after.
return to regular session
No, to not
solely for
return.
the purpose of adjourning.
No,
Okay,
you can adjourn to executive session, not to return to open session.
we could do that too. Why don't you make the motion?
Yeah.
You don't want me to.
Not be like.
And you have the purpose, does he have the purpose in front of him? I read that.
You're a motion man.
So I'll move to adjourn to executive session and not to return to open session to discuss A, strategy with respect to litigation for MGL chapter 30A, section 21A3, in regards to CBK, as well as to review and or approve the release of minutes, executive session minutes of 410, 524, 410-23, 524-23, and 6/5/23. And to note that discussion in public session would be detrimental to the negotiating position or the litigation position of the town.
Second. Any further discussion?
I still like the first one better.
Let's just move across the hall. 10 minutes, 10 minutes.
Oh,
Oh, all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
All right,
You should have said no just for the principle of it.
or abstain.
Or abstain. There you go. Thank you, Kirby. Are you alive?